Aldrich Family, starring Ezra Stone, written by Clifford Goldsmith. Brought to you by the makers of those delicious new desserts all America's talking about. Jell-O pudding. In the month of February, fall the birthdays of two great American presidents. We don't know, of course, whether Henry Aldrich will ever become president, but as the scene opens tonight in the Aldrich family living room, Henry has a birthday and other things on his mind.
Mother, if you could choose anything in the world for your birthday, what would you take?
$1 million.
No, Mother, be reasonable. I can't give you as much as that. What would you like?
Right at the moment, Henry, your mother would like a mink coat.
A mink coat, Father? A mink coat?
Mm-hmm.
How much would a thing like that cost?
How much do you have?
$2.35. Oh, but that's not important, Father.
No, not at all.
But it isn't. I've got a scheme all worked out. I'll be able to get anything Mother wants.
Really, dear?
It isn't anything more than you deserve, Mother. Could you loan me $2?
To which one of us are you speaking?
Oh, not to you, Father. I realize I've stretched you to the breaking point as it is.
I'm glad you're aware of that.
How about it, Mother?
How about what, dear?
In case you don't know it, Alice, you're about to be stretched to the breaking point.
What is it you want the $2 for?
To put with the money I have. I'm making an investment. I read a pamphlet, see? It's got the easiest way I ever heard of to make money.
What is it?
Rabbits.
I beg your pardon?
Raising rabbits. They'll double your money overnight.
You don't say so.
But they will, Father. You can't lose.
Where would we keep rabbits?
In the basement.
Well, we're not keeping rabbits in our basement.
Read the pamphlet, Mother. One fella started with just 4 rabbits, and in 2 years, he had 700.
And do you think we're going to have 700 rabbits running all over our basement?
Well, I'd make pens for them.
And how would I get into the basement?
Do you remember, Henry, that stray dog that stayed here last week? I had to ask you to feed her every day she was with us.
But that was just one, Mother. I certainly wouldn't forget to feed 700.
Incidentally, who's going to pay for the feed for 700?
Oh, they pay for it themselves.
Oh, I see. Out of their own pockets?
Father, everything I suggest you take lightly.
Now, if you think I'm taking this lightly, you're quite mistaken. You're not going to spend any money on rabbits.
But that's not what I want it for.
Oh, I thought that was what you did want it for.
No, Mother, it's to buy some galvanized feeding pans.
What was that?
Feeding pans for the rabbits.
For what rabbits?
For my rabbits, the ones I've got down in the cellar.
You have 700 down there?
No, Father, just 4. I'm only beginning. They're beauties, too.
Where did you get them, dear?
Happy Taylor gave them to me.
How did the tailor boy happen to do that?
I don't know. His folks just seem to think we'd like them better than they would.
Yes.
How would you like to be generous, dear, and give them back to Happy Taylor?
Mother, don't you want a birthday present?
Not as much as I want a home.
Well, if I give those back, I won't have anything at all.
How about your dog?
He left.
Because of the rabbits?
But, Father, don't you want me to develop responsibility so I'll take care of things and feed them?
Henry, we are not opposed to your developing all the responsibility you want to, but you'll have to find someone to take those rabbits.
Who is there?
Well, how about Tommy Walsh? He has a much larger house than we have.
Well, could I give him the rabbits but let him keep them here?
And your mother and I could live with the Walshes, eh?
Father, you have no idea how I've planned on this.
Supposing you go to the phone, dear, and see whether Tommy wouldn't like to have them.
Now?
Henry, if you want a rabbit for a pet, that's one thing. But you're not going to raise rabbits in our basement for the purpose of making money. Now, please call the Walshes.
I'll phone them, but I hope they aren't in.
Well, Alice, in 1 year we would have had rabbits in every room in the house.
Sam, don't you think we might at least get Henry a dog?
Alice, by tomorrow he'll have forgotten the whole thing.
Perhaps.
He never has kept it anything for more than 24 hours.
Well, just the same, he might have kept it this.
You mean you want him to raise rabbits?
Well, as he says, it would develop character.
Alice, let's have an understanding right now. Which do you want Henry to have, character or a father?
A father, dear. What do you suppose that can be at the door?
Probably Mr. Hubbard. I'll let him in. Well, hello there, Hubbard.
Evening. What is it you want repaired?
Oh, the trouble's out in the kitchen. Pipe under the sink.
Hi there, Mr. Hubbard.
Evening.
Henry, will you take Mr. Hubbard out and show him where that leak is?
Sure thing.
Henry, what did Tommy Walsh say about the rabbit?
His folks weren't in. But he'd be very glad to take them, Mother. This way, Mr. Hubbard.
Yes, sir. You, raise rabbits?
I was going to. Here you are. There's the pipe that's dripping.
I don't know whether I have a wrench that'll fit that or not.
Want me to look in your bag for you?
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a good thing you're getting out of this rabbit business.
Don't you recommend it?
I'd be a rich man now if it weren't for rabbits.
What happened?
By the time it was over, even my wife left me.
Yeah? Do you want me to hold the screwdriver for you?
Will you just put it down, please?
Sure.
I, raised beavers once, too.
Make a lot of money on them?
That was the second time my wife left me.
Well, did she ever come back?
She did, and she got even with me.
How?
She went in for raising turkeys.
She make a lot of money?
That was when I left her.
I see. Well, tell me, did you ever raise silver foxes?
Just for one winter. Now, there was an experience.
Yeah?
If you want to make money real quick, though, the thing to do is raise pigeons.
Pigeons?
Yep. That's what I'm going to put every cent I've got into.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. Once I get it going, I'm giving up plumbing.
Want me to hold that nut?
Just leave your hands off it.
Yes.
I figured out there's 300% profit in every pigeon you raise.
As much as that? What do you sell them for? Eating purposes?
Don't raise that kind. I tried them once. Had to eat them all myself.
Well, what kind do you raise?
Carriers.
Carriers? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
The kind that get back home no matter where you take them, huh?
Yep. Where's my hammer?
Oh, let's see. Oh, here it is.
Leave it there. I'll pick it up. I knew a fellow once that raised carrier pigeons and sold them to the Army.
Is that what you're going to do?
Yep, and put them in races. That's where you make the real money. Sometimes you win as much as $5 or $10.
Gee whiz, I didn't know anything like that was going on. Oh, what is it you're looking for, Mr. Hubbard?
A pair of pliers. Just let me look for them myself.
Do you mind if I point to them?
Where are they? Oh, yeah.
Gee, there's a business I'd like to go in.
What's stopping you?
Well, do pigeons take up very much room in a cellar?
What are you going to keep them in the cellar for? Why don't you keep them in your attic?
Gee, how do they get along in an attic?
All you got to do is fix up some coops and be sure the windows are left open.
I wonder why I didn't think of that myself. Want your tool bag, Mr. Hubbard?
Put it right back where it was.
Yes. How much would it cost to go into the pigeon business, Mr. Hubbard?
Get your head out of the way.
Is that better?
Just keep it out.
I guess you don't need any expensive equipment like you do for rabbits, huh?
All you need is some second-hand coops.
Where could I get those?
Any reason you couldn't advertise in the morning paper?
You mean advertise? I just say I want some second-hand pigeon coops, and that's all?
What else would you suggest?
Sure, and I'd save money. Unless, of course, nobody answered. Well, then the way I look at it, you've got to take a gamble at anything if you want to make money. Isn't that the way you look at it, Mr. Hubbard?
Well,
What are you doing out here?
Well, I'm helping Mr. Hubbard find his tools, Mother. Could you please stand back so you don't cast a shadow on him?
Oh, my goodness. The way you've been talking out here, I thought you'd have all the problems of the world settled.
Have you heard us?
Well, I haven't heard what it was about.
What time does the Centerville Gazette close?
Oh, I have no idea.
They're open till pretty late.
They are?
Why do you ask, dear?
Oh, no reason. I was just wondering how long they stay open. Is Father around the living room any place?
Your father went out.
Is that right? He went out?
Mr. Hubbard, will I be in your way here?
No, ma'am.
Well, goodbye.
Where are you going, Henry?
Just in the living room. Look around. Operator, could you get me the Centerville Gazette, please? Yes, ma'am.
Henry, are you in the living room?
I think I am, Mother.
Mr. Hubbard wants to know whether you picked up his screwdriver.
Tell him he'll find it in his left hip pocket.
Thank you.
Hello? Well, how do I put in an advertisement? Coops. Just ordinary pigeon coops. Yeah, that sounds good. Sign it Henry W. Aldrich. Yeah. About how much will that be? As much as that? Well, would it be cheaper if I left the W out? Well, supposing I leave the Henry out. Okay. Just say, reasonable prices paid for old pigeon coops. Sign it Aldrich. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Goodbye.
Henry, will you see who's at the door, please?
Yes, Mother. I'd be very glad to help you, Mother. Gee whiz, Tommy, you over here already?
I came over to get my rabbits.
Yeah, come on in. Did you ask your folks whether it'd be all right?
I don't know why it wouldn't be all right. Why should I worry them about a little thing like that?
Yeah, well, come on down the cellar stairs.
Why don't you want them, Henry?
My folks would rather I raise pigeons.
Pigeons?
Sure. I've become a pigeon fancier.
Yeah?
Sure. I may even raise pigeons for the Army. Big money in it, Tommy.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. For the Department of Interior Communications.
Yeah?
Your rabbits are around here on the other side of the preserve closet.
Oh, show them to me.
Now, listen, before I let you see them, when do I get that who's it you promised me on the telephone?
Oh, tomorrow, Henry. I couldn't bring it over tonight.
Okay. Well, here they are in this box.
Look at them.
That's what I say. Can you beat that?
Well, what's the matter?
There are 8 here. Can you imagine that, huh?
But all I want is 4.
You gotta take 8.
I haven't got room for 8. I'm gonna have trouble keeping just 4 in my closet.
Well, you should have gotten here sooner, Tommy.
Well, then certainly isn't my fault.
Henry, is that Tommy down there?
Yes, Mother, that's Tommy.
Is he taking all 4 of the rabbits?
Yes, Mother.
Certainly glad to hear that, dear.
Tommy, when we go up, don't say anything about the 4 I'm keeping.
Why not?
Maybe I can surprise my mother after all. Boy, am I going to make money. Rabbits in our basement and pigeons in our attic.
Our scene shifts for the next moment, ladies and gentlemen, to a department store where we clear up the mystery of the lady...
Good evening.
...and the gong. Behind the counter on the 5th floor, lamps, china, curtains, drapes, rugs, house furnishings, and so forth, there stands a clerk. Approaching him is the lady who says...
Last week I bought a piece of merchandise in this department. I have it here with me. It's a dinner gong.
Yes, madam?
You see, I used to have a lot of trouble every night getting my husband and the children to the dinner table. They'd keep right on reading the paper or listening to the radio or whatever else they were doing when I called them. So I bought this gong.
An excellent idea, madam.
But now I want to return it, if I may.
Well, is anything wrong with it, madam? Let's have a look at it. Sounds all right to me.
Oh, the gong's all right. But recently I've been serving Jell-O chocolate pudding for dinner. Now when I start to ring the gong, my husband and the children are sitting at the table before I get a chance to hit it.
And the very delicious moral to that story is, ladies and gentlemen, folks certainly do get to the table and get there in a hurry when they know there's Jell-O chocolate pudding for dessert. Because, friends, it's a grand treat that everybody loves, young and old alike. Nothing can compare with its rich, creamy smoothness and its thrilling chocolate flavor. And you'll be simply delighted to find how quickly and easily you can prepare Jell-O chocolate pudding, how inexpensive it is, and how many different and delicious desserts you can make with it. So try it tomorrow, why don't you? Start right away to treat the folks at your house to this new family favorite. Swell, luscious, easy to eat Jell-O chocolate pudding. Now, getting back to the problems of Henry Aldrich. Without telling his parents, Henry has inserted an advertisement in the town paper and signed it with the name Aldrich. The scene opens the following day in his father's office.
Miss Thompson, I don't have a great deal of time. Will you take a letter in a hurry, please?
Yes, Mr. Aldrich.
To the Brown Realty Company. Dear Mr. Brown, this is to advise you that unless steps are taken at once...
Mr. Aldrich's office? Yes? Yes? No, sir. You must have the wrong number, I'm afraid.
Wrong number?
Yes, sir. Now then, you just started a letter to the Brown Realty Company. Dear Mr. Brown, this is to advise you that unless steps are taken at once...
Yes. This is to advise you that unless steps are taken at once...
Mr. Aldrich's office? What was that? I don't understand you. Say that slowly, please. One moment. Mr. Aldrich, somebody wants to talk to you about something.
Let me have it. Samuel Aldrich speaking. What number are you calling? Pigeon coops? Did you say pigeon coops? Well, my name is Aldrich. I'm the only Aldrich in town, but I don't buy pigeon coops. Who is this talking? Charlie? Oh, you can't fool me, Charlie. Now, listen, Charlie, I'm busy as the deuce right now. I'll give you a call later. Don't bother me. Goodbye. Charlie Goslin would try to be funny just when I'm trying to get my work done. Tried to make me think his name was Tony Vecchito.
To be quite honest, Mr. Aldrich, I never did like Mr. Goslin.
Well, we get a lot of business from him. Now then, where were we?
This is to advise you that unless steps are taken at once...
Is that all the farther we got?
It is.
Unless steps are taken at once... What was it I was going to say?
I have no idea.
Oh, I remember. Toward improving the property occupied by my... Let me answer that. Sam Aldrich speaking. Who? Yes, Charlie. Still selling pigeon coops? We'll take all 15. Yes, deliver them right to our house. I don't care where you put them. Put them in the living room. Yes, and don't bother me anymore. Just because Charlie Goslin happens to be a client. How far are we?
Right where we were.
Yes. You know, it would be just like Charlie to go and find 15 pigeon coops and deliver them to our house. I remember one other practical joke he tried to play off. Miss Thompson, please answer that. If it's Charlie again, tell him I've gone for the day.
Hello? Yes, sir. One moment, please, Mr. Aldrich. It's the Centerville Feed Company. They want to know whether they may supply you with cracked corn.
For what?
One moment. Hello? Mr. Aldrich wants to know what he would use cracked corn for. No, Mr. Aldrich has not changed his business. He's still practicing law. Goodbye.
Cracked corn? Did that sound like Charlie Goslin?
My suspicion is that was Mr. Goslin.
Oh, no. He probably phoned the Centerville Feed Company and told them to call here. Now, unless steps are taken at once to him... Who's at the door?
You, Mr. Aldrich?
I am.
About how many pigeon coops did you want?
I beg your pardon?
How many did you want?
Did you say pigeon coops?
Pigeon coops. A paw can let you have all you need up to 60.
May I ask who sent you here?
I don't know. My paw just told me to come up here.
Where is your paw?
Down in front. Had a parked double. We got all 60 down there.
You have 60 pigeon coops down in front for me?
Sure. You want them brought up here?
To the office? No.
Can also fix you up with 60 feeding trays.
No, I'll answer the phone.
Now then, young man, may I ask how your father happened to come here?
I don't know.
Do you know a gentleman by the name of Charles Goslin?
Never heard of him.
Well, here's what you're to do. You're to deliver your confounded coops to Mr. Goslin's residence at 12 Church Street.
All 60?
All 60, and all 60 feeding trays.
Who pays for them?
Send the bill to Mr. Goslin.
Sure. Take them over right away.
That's fine.
Mr. Aldrich. Mrs. Aldrich is on the phone.
What does she want?
There's a gentleman by the name of Vecchito at your house unloading pigeon coops. He insists upon leaving them in the living room.
Now I know it was Charlie.
Mrs. Aldrich says he had nothing to do with it.
Well, then the fellow must be insane.
That's why she says you're to come over.
Yes, where's my hat and coat? Right in the middle of the busiest day I ever had. If anyone else calls, Miss Thompson, I've left.
Hello, Father.
Hello.
Could I speak to you just a minute?
You may not. Goodbye.
Well, what do you know about that? Miss Thompson, is he in a hurry over something?
He is. And if I were you, I wouldn't follow him.
Miss Thompson could...
I could answer so.
Where's Sam Aldrich?
He just went out.
I've got exactly what he wants outside on my truck.
What is it?
Eight of the darlingest pigeon coops you ever put your two eyes on.
Well, gee whiz, could you haul them over to my house?
And why not?
Well, I don't think anyone's home.
Oh, now you take the coops, and I'll give you a dozen fine birds to go with them.
You will?
I will not.
Gee whiz, I'll be getting an even better start than I thought I would. Let's go.
For the last time, please put the rest of your coops on your wagon and get away from the front of my house.
You know advertise.
I did not advertise.
The lady, she know advertise.
I did not advertise. No one in this house advertised. We couldn't have.
That's a funny thing. And my wife, she's a read it to me out loud.
What you probably did was to misunderstand the name.
What's your name?
Aldrich.
Aldrich, that's all right. I'm a telephone to him. He's a say, shoot, so bring me 15 coops.
All right, I'll admit that I'm the one who answered the phone, but I thought you were somebody else.
I'll meet to his price.
No, I thought you were a friend by the name of Charlie.
I'll sell the What's the Charlie got to do with it?
Now listen, my friend, for the last time, put that final crate on your wagon and get away from here.
All right. I'm going to go home and read the ad. You sure you know one of these coops are cheap?
Get out.
All right. Give me out, please. Bye. Maybe I see you tomorrow.
No.
Well, thank goodness he's gone.
Oh, you know, Alice, I honestly believe the fellow's crazy. Did you hear him? He practically insisted that we advertised.
Father, take a look.
What is it, Henry?
What I've got right here in this truck. Pigeon coops.
Where did you get those?
They're for my pigeons.
How are you, Sam Aldrich? Could you give me a hand, Henry, boy?
Sure.
Here, 1 minute. Henry, are you unloading those here?
Sure.
Oh, down with them, me son.
Hey, wait before you unload that.
Oh, it's not too heavy, Father.
There you are.
What's that I hear?
Now, for 3 years, I've been wanting to show you me gratitude, Sam.
Mulligan, I'm sorry, but we have no place here for those pigeons.
But, Father, they aren't costing us a cent. We're getting them absolutely free.
What do you mean?
Mr. Mulligan has very kindly consented to credit the coops toward a bill he owes Father.
What was that?
Don't you think that's fair, Father?
Henry, will you and Mr. Mulligan please put that crate back on the truck?
You mean you don't want them?
I do not.
Oh, but it's 3 years I've been owing you that bill, Sam. Don't you think it's about time it was paid?
Sam?
If you'll take those crates away, I'll call the whole thing paid.
Oh, now, that's very decent of you, Sam. Give me a hand, me boy.
But, Father, I need them.
Henry, do you want me to put that on for you?
I'll help him.
You're a gentleman, Sam Aldrich. And the next time I come into town, I'll bring your son a present.
But not pigeons or pigeon coops.
Oh, no, sir, not pigeons. I'll bring him a fine white nanny goat I have.
You will?
You will not.
Good day to you all.
Gee whiz. Now I've even lost what I paid for the ad.
For the ad? For what ad?
For coops, didn't I tell you?
Let's go into the house, Henry. I want to have a talk with you.
I know what you're going to say.
Oh, I wouldn't cry right out here on the sidewalk, Henry.
I'm not crying. Who's crying?
Oh, you're disappointed, dear, but the next time you do anything like this, you must tell us.
Of course. We may not have room for pigeons any more than we had for rabbits, but we'll find something you can have.
The only thing is I need pigeon coops. I need them bad.
Oh, today you need them, but by tomorrow you'll have forgotten all about them.
Sam, what's that?
What was what?
Something just flew out of our attic window.
Out of which window?
That was one of my pigeons.
One of what pigeons?
That Mr. Hubbard gave me.
That he gave you? How many did he give you?
Just 6. 2 of them are up there setting.
In our attic?
It would be all right if they had a coop, Father.
Henry Aldrich.
Henry, could I see you a minute?
What about, Tommy? What have you got in the box there?
Your rabbits. My mother and father won't let me keep them.
What are you doing, returning all 4 of them?
All 4 of them? There are 10 of them.
Can you imagine?
Henry, we can't possibly take those.
But, Mother, the ones I have don't bother you any, do they?
The ones you have?
Yeah, the ones in the preserve closet. Look who's coming. It's Towser. Oh, my old dog Towser. Well, gee whiz.
And where are you going to keep him,
Oh, he
Henry?
can sleep at the foot of my bed.
Listen, Henry, I want my who's it back that I gave you for the rabbits.
Oh, no, that was a bargain, Tommy.
You've got to give it back.
Give what back?
My snake.
What's that?
No, he gave me that snake.
Henry, why should you want an old dead snake?
But, Mother, it isn't dead. It's alive.
Oh, where is it?
Where is it?
Yes.
It's in my top bureau drawer.
Henry Aldrich!
Henry Aldrich will be back again in just a moment. Now, folks, tomorrow night, why not treat yourself to one of those popular new Jell-O puddings you've been hearing so much about? Let's say a grand, tempting dish of Jell-O vanilla pudding, dressed up perhaps with a handful of rich nuts or raisins. Now, there is a truly fine dessert, one that has no rival when it comes to smooth, creamy goodness. Every time you enjoy it, which is sure to be often, you'll find yourself more excited than ever about the delectable flavor of Jell-O vanilla pudding. Because there's nothing to equal its delightful taste, so delicate and yet marvelously mellow. It's a quick, easy, inexpensive dessert, a captivating climax to any meal. So make tomorrow night's dinner end on a truly festive note by serving the family this luscious treat. You'll add a new name on your list of favorite desserts the very first time you enjoy the rare, distinctive goodness of Jell-O vanilla pudding.
You know, Tommy, I just had a big idea.
What about, Henry?
We can make some money on these pigeons. We can clean up.
How?
All we have to do is put another ad in the paper. The only trouble is, though, we'll have to put it in your father's name.
Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, in the event you would like to see Henry's latest advertisement, you will find it only in next week's issue of Centerville's leading paper. The Aldrich Family, starring Ezra Stone, is written by Clifford Goldsmith. Original music for the program is composed and conducted by Jack Miller. By the way, Ezra Stone will appear as Henry Aldrich at the State Theater in Hartford, Connecticut for 4 days, beginning February 22nd. Now, this is Harry Von Zell speaking and wishing you good night for those delicious new desserts all America's talking about. Jell-O pudding.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Henry Aldrich.
Coming, Mother.
The Aldrich Family, starring Ezra Stone, written by Clifford Goldsmith. Brought to you by the makers of those delicious new desserts all America's talking about. Jell-O pudding. In In the town of Centerville, most of the residents are ready for March to come in like a lion and go out like a lamb. But in the Aldrich family home on Elm Street, these traditional animals have been relegated to the background. For Henry Aldrich has real rabbits hopping around the basement and live pigeons flapping about the attic. Our scene tonight opens in Henry's room with Mrs. Aldrich speaking to her son.
Do you want this broken fountain pen, dear?
Yes, Mother.
Do you want this piece of lead pipe?
Yes, Mother.
Will you tell me what on earth for?
Mother, please. I want everything in my desk.
But, Henry, your desk is a sight.
Let me explain something. Right this minute, I'm very busy. But the first time I'm not busy, I'll clean it out.
You've been saying that for 6 months.
But, gee whiz, when you get through, I won't know where anything is.
What are you saving this ticket to the World's Fair for?
I might use it.
But it's to the Chicago World's Fair. It was over several years ago.
Yeah, I know it's to the Chicago World's Fair. Even if I don't use it, I'd like to have it for a souvenir.
What about these 3 pieces of rock?
Mother, I brought all those back from Vermont last summer. I carried them back purposely. Where did you put them?
In this lower drawer.
Well, there's a very good example of what I'm trying to tell you. Supposing I should suddenly need those rocks in a hurry. I'd have to go through everything I own.
Henry, you're exactly like your grandmother.
Alice, are you in Henry's room?
Yes, Sam.
Did you want me, Father?
No, Henry. Alice, I realize you've wanted a maid for some time and that we now finally have one. But I do wish you'd ask her not to go in that spare room I used to work in.
What's happened now?
She's just gone through the place like a tornado. She's taken half the things off my desk.
The fact is, dear, I cleaned out your desk.
You cleaned it out?
Of course.
Well, what did you do with my pen?
I put it in the pen holder.
What did you put it there for?
My goodness, Sam, don't you want Martha to have any respect for us?
Respect for us? After all, are we hiring her or is she hiring us?
But, dear, she's the only maid I've ever had, and this is her first day here. And your room looked almost as bad as the room Henry keeps his rabbits in down in the cellar.
Mother, do we have to tell her about my rabbits?
Whether we do or not, Henry, I think you'd better be prepared for the day when she finds them.
Well, couldn't you put it up to her? Just tell her that if the rabbits will stay in their room and Father will stay in his, wouldn't she be happy?
Incidentally, who changed the blotter on my desk?
I did.
Well, I didn't want to see it thrown out. I like that old blotter.
All right, dear. Go it down and get it out of the trash barrel. If you want to, you may sleep with it under your pillow. But I certainly hope you won't let Martha see it.
Unfortunately, it had all my telephone numbers written on it.
What do you want done with this Canadian penny, Henry?
I might go to Canada sometime.
Miss Aldrich?
Yes, Martha?
Mr. Aldrich in here?
I'm right here, Martha.
Mr. Aldrich, somebody wants you downstairs at the front door.
Gentlemen?
He's sort of a gentleman.
Well, did you ask him to step inside?
Yes. Miss Aldrich, could I take up some of your time for something?
What is it, Martha?
I don't like to complain, but frankly, when I come to you this morning, you said there was only 4 in the family.
Well, that's all there are.
But how about all those rabbits down in the cellar?
Rabbits, Martha?
Yes, but didn't anybody know they was down there?
Of course we knew they were down there, but
Martha, don't you like rabbits?
My brother kept rabbits once, and frankly, I got awful tired of them.
But they don't ever come upstairs and get in your way, do they?
Not yet, but 2 of them's working their way toward the cellar stairs.
Martha, we're not keeping those rabbits always. Henry's simply going to raise them and then sell them very soon.
Do they stay here at night?
Oh, yes, they like it here very much.
Alice!
Yes, Sam?
Could you come down here, please?
Right away.
I ain't gonna stay here with them rabbits.
Martha, why don't you look at it this way? You know how lucky a rabbit's foot is?
The rabbits my brother had, it was always just a lot of work.
How long did you live with your brother?
Frankly, just a little while. I tried, but I couldn't get myself adjusted to them.
But very few people get to like a rabbit right away, Martha. But once you get to know those I have, you'll say, gee whiz, thanks, Henry, for letting me get to know them.
Well, I'll finish out today, but I can't stay any longer than that.
Look, Martha, is there anything I could give you to make it worth your while?
Like what?
Well, I could give you part of my allowance each week.
How much would that be?
Well, I could give you 20 cents of it.
20 cents?
And I'll do all the work that's in connection with the rabbits. Gee whiz, Martha, isn't that a bargain?
Frankly, I wouldn't be interested.
Would you be interested in 20 cents a week in your choice of anything in my desk here?
What you got?
Well, gee, I got a million things. How about a Canadian penny?
How many you got?
Well, just one. But don't let that mislead you. It's only a penny in Canada. But here, Martha...
How much is it here?
Well, I wouldn't want to say. In this country, a thing like that is very rare.
Yeah.
In fact, that's only the fourth one I've ever seen in my life, and you know how long I've been kicking around.
What else you got?
What else about... Well, would you like a piece of genuine Vermont granite, Martha?
That's just a piece of stone, ain't it?
Not in Vermont, it isn't. In Vermont, that's granite. And you can't get better granite unless you want to import it. You certainly wouldn't want to go to all that trouble.
You got anything else?
Well, there's a compass here. Only I wouldn't want to give you that. It's broken. Gee whiz, if you got lost with that, where would you be?
I don't want to do that.
Oh, here's something for you. Gee whiz.
What is it?
How would you like a ticket to the World's Fair?
To the World's Fair?
Sure.
You gonna give me this?
Of course, if you'll only stay with the rabbits.
Martha, may I speak with you?
Just a minute, Miss Aldrich.
Martha, that visitor downstairs did not want to see Mr. Aldrich. She wanted to see Henry.
Henry?
Somebody's here to see me, Mother?
Come right on up, Tommy.
Henry up here? I'm up in my room, Tom. Martha, is it all set?
Well, I'll see you till the fair opens.
Henry, take a look at this. What is it? It's the morning paper. Not so loud, Tommy. But it's got the ad we put in. Yeah, let's see it. I'm telling you, Henry, we're going to make money hand over fist. Has anyone phoned your house yet? Well, it's too early. But I'm asking you, Henry, who else in town would have thought of using carrier pigeons this way? Not so loud, I tell you. What's the matter? What's the matter? We've got a new maid, and she ought to get used to one thing at a time. Doesn't she like pigeons? We don't know yet. She doesn't know you've got some up in the attic? She'll find it out, Tommy. She'll find it out. They're in the room right next to hers.
Oh, Henry, is your mother in there?
No, she isn't, Father. Tommy, fold the paper up quick and stick it on my desk.
Where'd she go?
Who, Mother?
What is it, Sam?
I dug my old blotter out of the trash barrel. I also found one of my good trout flies in there.
I almost hooked myself on that thing every time I go into your desk drawer.
You've no right to go in there, dear. That's my drawer, and everything in there is mine.
Mr. Aldrich.
Yes, Martha?
A party wants to speak to you on the telephone.
I'll be right there.
Henry, isn't that the morning paper sticking out of your desk?
Oh, that isn't ours, Mother. That's Tommy's. I'll take it, Mrs. Aldrich. There's no use bothering you with that.
May I see it, please?
Oh, Mother, have you ever noticed how this piece of granite sparkles?
Henry, I'm looking at the advertisements before I do my shopping.
Well, wouldn't you like to have me look at them for you?
Oh, I certainly would not.
Have you noticed the ads on this other page, Mrs. Aldrich?
Over here?
Yeah.
Why should I buy a piano?
I don't know. They say they're good pianos.
Alice, will you please tell Martha not to call me every time the phone rings?
Who was that call for?
Tommy Walsh's mother wants to talk with him.
She wants to talk to me, Mr. Aldrich? She wants me?
Yes, Tommy.
Henry, the first one's come. The first one's come.
What has come?
A message he was expecting.
Sam, did you see this advertisement?
What advertisement?
I think it might interest Henry, too.
What's it for, Mother?
A clearance of men's and young men's shoes.
Shoes? Let me see it.
Here. Henry, are you too warm?
Warm, Mother?
What's the matter with you?
I just thought I'd get down and see Tommy. Father, could I have the paper, please?
One moment here. Alice, did you see this?
What?
This notice. It says, carrier pigeon service. Messages delivered to any point in Centerville. Low rates. Our birds can make 60 miles per hour under favorable conditions. Signed, Aldrich and Walsh, Incorporated.
Sam, read that again.
I'd rather not.
Henry, do you still have those pigeons up in the attic?
Well, less than a dozen, Mother.
What do you suppose Martha's going to do when she finds them?
But, Mother, Tommy and I can make some money.
Henry, you don't imagine anyone is actually going to use any such messenger service, do you?
Why not? We only charge 10 cents a message, and the whole thing's clear profit.
Do you mean to say, dear, your pigeons can go any place you send them?
Well, I couldn't go so far as to say that, Mother, but they're trained almost that well.
When Martha leaves, can your pigeons be trained to do the housework?
Could I keep the pigeons in my room, Mother?
No, dear.
Henry, may I come in? Yes, Tommy. Listen, Henry, Mrs. Persons wants us to deliver a very important message for her. It's all off, Tommy.
Tommy, what is the message Mrs. Persons wants delivered?
Well, she didn't say. She just said we should come over right away.
Then may I ask how a pigeon could possibly deliver a message for her?
Oh, it'd be simple, Mother. We've got Dizzy Stevens working for us on a commission, see? He takes one of our pigeons over to Mrs. Persons and fastens the message on her foot, see?
Onto Mrs. Persons' foot?
No, onto the pigeons.
How does it know where to go?
It comes here.
Whether the message is for us or not.
Well, this is a relay junction. One of us then detaches the bird from the message, jumps on a bicycle, and delivers it. Sure.
Sure, that's all there is to it, Mr. Aldrich.
You don't say so.
Could anything be more simple?
And where is Mrs. Persons all this time?
That's the beautiful part of it. Once the message leaves her hands, she can forget the whole thing.
Supposing there's an answer.
What's that?
Supposing there's an answer.
Well, Mr. Aldrich, don't you think that would be an exceptional case? I mean, after all, most people just send a message and that's all there is to it.
Sure, that's what I should think.
Well, Martha will never stand for our keeping those pigeons.
Oh, Alice, what does Martha have to do with it? The boys have an idea here.
Don't you want me to keep a maid?
Well, I don't think she should be spoiled.
That's what I think.
Now, can't you explain to Martha what Henry wants to do?
Well, if I can't understand it, certainly Martha can.
Mother, look at it this way.
Henry, there's no use arguing. Martha is not going to like pigeons.
But, Mother...
Henry, let me talk to your mother. Alice, I don't think what Henry wants to do is going to laugh. But I do think he should be allowed to try it. And I don't see why Martha should be afraid of pigeons.
Would you like it if a pigeon should get into your room in the middle of the night?
What harm could it do?
Well, I'm sure I wouldn't like it.
Where does the trouble seem to be, Henry?
No place, Tommy. We just have a temperamental maid.
Henry, if you must go through with this, supposing you wait while I have a talk with Martha.
If you want my advice, don't mention the pigeons to her, and she won't even notice they're there. What on earth is that?
It's coming from the attic.
I think it's Martha.
She's found the pigeons.
A week or so ago, ladies and gentlemen, one of our listeners gave a party. And a few days afterwards, she received a note of thanks from one of the guests. Now, you've all heard people refer to such a note as a bread and butter letter, but this one was a pudding letter, because here's the way it read.
Dear Helen, just a line or two to tell you how much Bob and I enjoyed the party. It certainly was a big success, and we all had a grand time. Incidentally, the real hit of the evening was that wonderful pudding you served for dessert. Bob keeps asking me to find out how you made it. So why don't you be a good girl and send me the recipe? Love, Julia.
Well, the next day, Helen answered her friend's letter, and if you could have peeked over her shoulder, you'd have read this.
Dear Julia, the pudding was called Jell-O Orange Vanilla Whip, and I heard about it on the radio, on the program called The Aldrich Family. Here's the way Harry Von Zell said to make it.
Well, first, you take one package each of orange Jell-O and Jell-O vanilla pudding and make them up as you usually do. Then chill the orange Jell-O and whip it as directed on the box. Next, you chill the Jell-O vanilla pudding and add it to the whipped Jell-O, beating constantly until blended. Then mold, and there you have a truly swell dessert. A glorious combination of golden orange Jell-O and smooth, creamy Jell-O vanilla pudding. Easy to make and downright inexpensive. P.S. Now, why not try some yourself, friends, and see how soon it becomes one of your special favorites. For rich, tangy flavor, for rare, distinctive goodness, Jell-O Orange Vanilla Whip is absolutely tops. Now, getting back to the problems of Henry. The Aldriches have a new maid who apparently does not like pigeons. The scene opens on the second floor of the Aldrich home.
Sam, I've about decided you were right.
Regarding what, Alice?
Well, I don't think we should make Henry get rid of those pigeons just because Martha doesn't like them.
You certainly aren't going to let her go, are you?
Well, I thought you said I should.
Well, that was before she made that beef stew we had for lunch. That was the best beef stew, Alice, I ever ate in my life.
But if we let her have her way on the pigeons, she'll want her way on everything.
It might interest you to know, Alice, that Martha no longer objects to the pigeons.
How do you know?
I had a little talk with her.
What did you tell her?
Well, I told her we'd give her $1 a week more.
Sam Aldrich, you should never have told her that.
But I like her stew.
I still don't believe she's going to stay in a house with something she's scared to death of for only $1 a week extra.
Well, if you must know, I gave her something else.
What?
My trout fly. She wanted it for a hat ornament.
Well, at least I won't be hooked on it anymore.
I also gave her a timetable.
I thought she was staying.
No, she is, until the Chicago World's Fair reopens.
What year will that be?
I've no idea, but she's staying until then.
Mother!
Where are you, Henry?
I'm coming down the attic stairs. Have any pigeons flown in any windows down here yet?
None that I've seen.
Isn't that strange?
How's your messenger service working?
Fine. I wonder how you can account for a thing like that. You gotta give our bird time, Henry. But baby's the fastest bird we have.
Something seemed to have gone wrong, Henry?
Oh, nothing, Father. Nothing. Just seems to be a minor delay. The only thing that's wrong is we don't know where our pigeon went. Of course, maybe Dizzy Stevens hasn't even got her over to Mrs. Persons yet. That's what happened. Sure, Dizzy probably took the nickel we paid him and is out blowing it in. Come on back up into the attic.
Boys, you haven't forgotten your promise to stay out of Martha's room while you're up there.
Oh, we haven't been near her door, Father. Henry, what do you suppose has become of Baby? Gee whiz, there's probably a strong headwind holding her back. But Mrs. Persons only lives a mile from here. Maybe she arrived when we weren't looking and couldn't see that this attic window here was open. She can find this house. She certainly ought to be able to tell whether a window was open. Tommy, take a look outside. At what? Look, she's coming 90 miles an hour. That isn't the direction Mrs. Persons lives in. What difference does it make? She's coming, isn't she? She probably went around so she could come in on the wind. Well, where is she now? She's straight up there. Henry, I think I can see the message. Father, Mother, come up for the landing. Stand back from the window, Tommy, so we don't frighten her. Where is she? She's overhead. Gee whiz. She went right by. To where? I don't know. She didn't stop. Just when we need her. As a matter of fact, that might have been some other bird. You know, what we need is a pair of binoculars. Yeah.
Has she landed, Henry?
Not yet, Father. It was just an aeroplane or something.
Well, Martha's on her way up there.
Oh, well, come right up, Martha.
All alone?
Martha wants you to come down and meet her.
Sure, I'll escort you up, Martha.
Ain't none of them pigeons loose up there, is there?
Gee whiz, no, Martha. Every bird up here is in her own cage. And look, Martha, they won't hurt you. I put my fingers right through the bars and they don't even touch me.
Just let me in my room here.
There you are, Martha.
Close that door.
Sure. Henry, take a look out the window. Where? She's right over there on the roof of the next house. Tommy, there she is. Hiya, baby. Father, Mother, hey, everybody, look outside. Come on, baby, come on. Martha.
What's the matter?
Leave your window open in case Baby wants to come in that way.
I'm going back to close it right now.
Tommy, is Baby coming? Here, baby. She just sits on the roof of Mrs. Kilmer's house. Maybe she wants a rest for a minute. After flying just 1 mile? Can you see the message? Sure. Look, Henry, she's coming. Yeah, only to the end of the roof, though. Well, that's in our direction, isn't it? Her instincts are right.
Boys, did you have your bird yet?
Where are you, Father?
Down here on the back walk.
She just flew onto the windowsill. And maybe she likes that house. Maybe she thinks we live there. Mr. Aldrich, could you get a stick and poke her?
There's no stick down here, that long.
Gee, if everybody would keep quiet a second, maybe she'd come over here naturally. Henry, she coming? She looked this way. That means she's getting ready. See that? What'd she do? She sat down. Mr. Aldrich, could you ring the bell next door and ask the people to push her off the windowsill?
I happen to know the Kilmers are out.
At a time like this? Father, could you go inside and push her off?
I could not.
Well, gee whiz, do you suppose she's going to nest on that windowsill? Maybe she's going to lay an egg. Father, do you see that ladder right there by the side of our house?
I do, but I'm not going to climb up it.
But she may be gone by the time we get down there.
Sam, put that ladder against the house and help the boys.
Where are you, Mother?
I'm down here with your father.
I'm not going to climb up the side of Kilmer's house.
Well, wasn't it your idea that the boys go ahead with this?
Well, I certainly didn't know it was going to lead to breaking into houses.
Sam.
All right, I'll help them.
Oh, Henry, step into Martha's room and tell her it's time to start dinner.
Yes, Mother. Martha,
What you want?
my mother says it's time to start dinner.
You got that flying devil caught yet?
Martha, if you come out, we'll give you protection to the foot of the stairs. Martha! Isn't she timid, though? Father, if you can get Baby down, I think we can get Martha out.
You don't say so.
Don't talk to him, Henry. You want him to fall off that ladder?
Must you mention my falling?
Just talk to her, Father, and she'll come.
What shall I say to her?
Just say, here, baby. Come, baby. Here, baby.
I'm not going to say anything of the kind.
Mr. Aldrich, if you'll stand on the top rung and reach, I think you can get her.
Sam, don't fall.
Grab her quickly, but carefully, Father.
Yes. Is there anyone else who would like to give me advice?
Oh, gee, look who's opening that window.
Was there something you wanted, Sam Aldrich?
How do you do, Mrs. Kilmer? Where did the pigeon go?
What pigeon?
She didn't fly in your window, did she?
What are you talking about?
My father, he's trying to get a message.
To me?
No, from a pigeon.
Henry, you're not helping matters any.
Mr. Aldrich, she's down there on the limb of that tree. Father, all you have to do is move your ladder.
I'm not going to climb anything more.
Sam, if we don't get that bird, we won't have any dinner.
I can't help it.
What are you having for dinner, Mrs. Aldrich? Pigeon pie?
Alice, if I don't stop now, I'll end by climbing everything in town.
Mother, could you climb up the tree?
No, dear.
Could you throw a stick?
There aren't any sticks.
Could you just toss a stone in her direction?
All right, dear.
Not toward me, Alice.
Be sure not to hit baby either.
Here it goes.
You're too high, Mother!
Who'd do that?
Gee whiz, Mother, duck around the corner. It went through Martha's window.
Didn't I tell you you couldn't trust them that pigeon?
And now baby's flown away.
If you ask me, Alice, no maid on earth is worth it.
Well, she's just gone up to the attic and she's perfectly happy.
Well, she had better be. It cost me $3 to get Henry to go out of business.
Mother, you down in the living room?
Yes, dear, where are you?
Could you come up to the second floor just a minute?
Now, what is it?
Martha doesn't want to go up to her room.
Tell Martha there isn't a pigeon left in the house.
No, my father made me give them all away, Martha.
Yes, Martha. Henry even gave his rabbits away just so you'd stay.
I appreciate that. Only I never been up there before in the dark.
Well, there's a light in your room.
Not till I get to it.
Martha, what if it is dark? As soon as you get to your door, you snap the switch on and there's light.
Yeah. And if Henry isn't afraid, certainly you shouldn't be.
Henry, will you go up there with me?
Who, I?
Of course he will. In fact, Martha, if it'll make you any happier, Henry will even sit in the chair just outside your door until you get to sleep.
In the dark, Mother?
Of course.
I thought you weren't afraid.
I'm not.
I'll open the door to the stairs for you. There you are.
Henry, you go in first.
Oh, you can go first, Martha. Then if anything happens, you know I'm right in back of you.
Henry? Henry?
Mother, I'll lead the way. Are you coming, Martha?
Yes, sir.
Good night.
Gee, I didn't realize it was so dark up here.
What's that?
It's the chair outside your door. There's the light, Martha. Go right in.
You gonna sit out here?
Sure. I don't mind the dark.
Good night.
Good night.
Martha ain't afraid either.
Martha?
What you want?
Do I have to sit out here like this that very long?
You'll get used to it after a couple of nights. Where did I put my nightgown? Come over here, you little rascal, to say good night. Martha, you sure it's all alone? I like to talk to myself. Now, Martha, turn out the light and get in the bed. My goodness, but it's quiet in this room. Henry! Mr. Henry!
Well?
I'll let you know when I'm asleep. I guess this place ain't so bad after all. Who that? Who that? There ain't nothing, Martha. Just lie right still. If Miss Aldrich give you her word, I swear there's birds in here. There is birds in here.
Are you all right, Martha?
There's eagles in here. Get away from me. Henry, where are you?
I thought I'd go downstairs for something, Martha.
Well, come back.
Just turn on the light.
The pigeons, they all come back.
What in the world is going on up there?
Look, only one came back.
One's enough.
And it's baby.
Where is she?
Sitting right over there on Martha's dresser.
She's right on my ticket to the word fair.
Mother, you hold Martha while I save baby.
Hey, what's the trouble here?
Martha, what is that rabbit doing beside your bed?
I hope you don't mind my keeping just one, Miss Aldrich. Frankly, I just took the like the little fella that I kind of took the one to keep one of all of them.
Martha.
I just got the message, Father. Mrs. Persons wants a man to hurry over and fix her oil burner this afternoon.
You don't say so.
Martha, what are you getting your suitcase out for?
If you don't mind, Miss Aldrich, frankly, I think I'll go.
Well, frankly, Martha, we don't mind.
Henry Aldrich will be back again in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a full-length description of perfect dessert enjoyment, summed up in only 3 little words. Yes, just 3 words. Jell-O butterscotch pudding. All you have to do is mention these 3 magic words to your grocer, and you'll be all set to enjoy a rich, mellow dessert that tastes just right and offers you a world of hearty, zestful satisfaction. Jell-O butterscotch pudding has a rare, tantalizing flavor, brimful of swell, buttery, brown sugar goodness. And you'll be simply delighted with its creamy smoothness and tempting golden color. So, friends, try this easy, inexpensive recipe for a delicious treat. You can guarantee yourself a real pleasure, a grand adventure in good things to eat, the very first time you meet up with this popular new dessert, Jell-O butterscotch pudding.
Tommy, look at the advertisement I just answered.
What is it?
I'm going to take a course. I'm going to be a railway clerk.
Do your folks mind you're leaving home?
I'm not telling them until I'm all ready.
Well, maybe Henry will be sorting your mail. The Aldrich Family, starring Ezra Stone, is written by Clifford Goldsmith and will be heard next week at the same time. Original music is composed and conducted by Jack Miller. This is Harry Von Zell speaking and wishing you good night for those delicious new desserts all America's talking about. Jell-O pudding.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Henry Aldrich.
Coming, Mother.
The Aldrich Family, written by Clifford Goldsmith and starring Ezra Stone. Entertainment for all the family, brought to you by Postum, a tempting, wholesome drink for all the family. Postum. Yes, folks, it's time again to drop in on the Aldrich family. Time to enjoy the relaxation that comes from a visit with this typical American family. Relaxation, of course, is something we all need. And sometimes, if a tense, nervous condition prevents you from getting it, it's well to ask this question. Is coffee making you nervous? Would you be better off drinking Postum instead of coffee? Well, now, far be it from me to imply that there aren't many folks on whom coffee has no ill effects whatever. That's obvious when you consider how popular coffee is. But I do know that coffee does make many people nervous. So if you think it sets your nerves on edge, switch to Postum. Postum contains no stimulants, nothing that could possibly affect your nerves. Drink Postum with all its flavor and fragrance instead of coffee, and see if that nervous feeling doesn't go away. See if you don't feel really relaxed again, once you give Postum a fair trial. Tom Sawyer, Penrod Schofield, and Huck Finn are real boys to all of us, because their adventures and their ways of thinking are those of every real boy. And now Henry Aldrich joins the ranks of America's favorite youngsters, a boy from your own block, or even perhaps from your own home. We join Henry Aldrich and his friend Homer in the Aldrich living room. The time is just before dinner.
Gee, Homer, if that isn't a nice thing to do to my best coat.
Now, listen, Henry, you talk just as though I'd thrown it into the lake on purpose. I didn't know my girl was going to jump.
When?
When the bee attacked her, out in the canoe.
Well, gee whiz, Homer, look at my coat, soaking wet. And I'm supposed to wear it to the lecture next week.
All right, Henry, if that's the way you feel about it, watch and see if I ever borrow your coat again.
And look at the things in the pockets. Look at my girl's picture. She's all warped.
Part of that's natural.
It is not. Eleanor Wentworth is one of the best... Oh, boy.
What's the matter?
Oh, boy.
What have I done now?
Look at this letter. It's wringing wet.
Who's it from?
I don't know who it's from. Only somebody in my family gave it to me to mail last week.
They did?
Yes, Homer, and I never thought you'd do a thing like this to it.
Who's it addressed to?
Well, that's the trouble. Can't you see the water's washed all the ink off the envelope?
Whose name is on the back?
Not so loud, Homer. Do you want my mother to hear you?
Henry, are you almost ready for dinner?
Why, yes, I am, Mary. Here, Homer, take this coat and this letter up to my room.
Now?
Sure, and put them on the radiator and turn on the heat.
Okay.
Homer, your mother phoned for you to come home a long time ago.
Oh, she did? Well, thank you.
Mary, I've been intending to ask you, is Joe Graham still out of town?
Yes.
That's what I thought. If I remember correctly, you gave me a letter to mail to him, didn't you?
Yes.
That's what I... Did you ever get an answer?
Yes.
Oh. Well, that's fine.
Why do you ask?
Well, I was just wondering.
Mary!
Yes, Father?
Your mother wants you to help her in the kitchen.
Oh, my goodness, I'll go right out.
Hello, Henry.
Hello, Father.
Homer gone home?
No, sir, he's upstairs drying... He's upstairs, sort of... He's upstairs.
You say he's upstairs?
Yes, sir. Just temporarily.
How did everything go with you today?
Fine. How's business?
Fine.
How are the mails coming through?
The mails? What mails?
Well, just the mails.
Well, they're coming through fine. Why do you ask that?
Well, I was just...
Henry!
Yes, Mother?
Dinner's all on the table.
We'll be right there.
Sam, come in and start carving.
Yes, Alice?
Look, Mother, is there anything, just offhand, that you can think of that I haven't done that you told me to in the last few weeks?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I don't know. I was just asking.
Alice, how are the tickets going for the lecture at the Women's Club?
Sam, I'm worried sick.
What's the trouble?
Well, dear, I hadn't had any word from the man that's coming to give the lecture, and here it is less than a week off.
Mother, aren't you chairman of the lecture committee?
Yes, dear.
Why don't you hear from him?
Well, Henry, I wish I knew why.
Oh.
When did you write to him?
Last week, I gave you the letter to mail.
You gave it to me?
Sam, I'm almost positive I did. Didn't you mail it?
If you gave it to me, I mailed it.
Henry, did
Mother, could I have the bread, please?
Here you are.
And, Father, shall I pass this who's it to Mother?
Yes, please.
Goodbye, Henry. I think everything's going to be all right.
What's that, Homer?
What's going to be all right?
Well, I don't think he meant anything special, Father.
Sam, how much time do you think I'd need to get an answer to my letter?
Well, 3 or 4 days should be more than enough. Actually, it only takes 2.
Mother, what city does the lecturer live in?
He doesn't live any place. He travels all over.
Oh, that's too bad.
Maybe that's why he didn't get your letter, Mother.
He's spending all of this month in Chicago, Mary.
In Chicago?
Yes, Henry.
On what street?
What difference does it make? Alice, are you sure you addressed the envelope correctly?
I'm almost positive I sent it to 721 St. Eggleston Drive.
721?
Yes, dear.
What's his name?
Henry.
Well, Mary, can't you take an interest in this lecture, too?
I'm not going to it.
Oh, yes, you are, dear. We're all going.
Am I going?
Now, Sam, you've got to go.
And ruin an entire evening?
Dear, I don't care for John William Steber any more than you do. But after all, I'm chairman, and the least you can do is go and hear Steber.
Steber? Steber? How would you spell a name like that?
Henry, what difference does it make?
Well, after all, suppose somebody came up to me and said, did you ever hear of John William Steber, 721 St. Eggleston Drive, Chicago? I wouldn't even know how to spell it.
Sam, have you been able to get them?
No, Alice. The long-distance operator will call us the minute she does.
Well, I'm afraid we're making a mistake. People who bought tickets to hear John William Steber lecture on Guatemala the Beautiful are not going to care for a lecturer on child behavior.
How about getting old Uncle Jim Murphy over here on the edge of town?
What for?
Well, he used to put on a magic act for the children at the hospital every Christmas.
Dear, let's not be ridiculous.
It's better than nothing.
You've got to have something when the crowd gets there Tuesday night. Let me see that letter once more.
What letter?
The one that came this morning from John William Stieber.
Here. And for as long as I live, I'll never understand how a mistake like this happened.
He says, Dear Mrs. Aldrich, I regret very much that I must change my plans and decline your offer to address the Centerville Women's Club Winter Forum. I enclose a letter which was apparently sent to me by mistake. Yours truly, J.W. Stieber.
Sam, how did I ever do a thing like that? This letter he returned was to Aunt Sue.
It looks as though he dragged it out of some lake. Dear Sue, don't for heaven's sake come all the way to Centerville just to hear John William Stieber next Tuesday night. Why the club ever voted to have him, I'll never know. He's a terrible bore. Yes, very well put.
Sam, I don't think he had any right to turn down an important engagement just because of the petty opinion of one individual.
You mean this opinion?
But he had no right to read it. After all, he could see it wasn't for him.
Alice, you're lucky the man isn't suing you.
Father, could I have my allowance for this week, please?
Your allowance, Henry?
Oh, gee whiz, did Mother get a letter from... Did Mother get a letter?
Yes, dear, from Mr. Stieber.
Oh, then that's not on our minds anymore.
What do you mean, our minds?
Well, isn't it an answer to... Can't he come?
No, dear. He's very much upset over something. In fact, I did a very absent-minded thing.
What?
Well, I wrote a letter to your Aunt Sue, dear, and addressed it to Mr. Stieber.
And he was just a little hurt.
Oh. Is that the letter that you... You mean that letter? That's too bad.
Yes, Henry, it is.
Oh, yes. Well, look, is there anything I can do?
No, dear. What could you possibly do?
Well, I feel I ought to do something.
And I wish you could.
Oh, here's your allowance, son.
Well, on second thought, Father, I don't think I need any this week.
Where are you going that you don't want any?
Well, just over to see Eleanor Wentworth.
Well, don't come home too late.
No, Mother.
Goodbye, Henry.
Goodbye, and I'm certainly sorry this happened.
Henry, don't you want to sit here on the sofa and look at these pictures with me?
Pictures?
These pictures. Henry, tell me.
What?
Are you worried about something?
Who, me?
You've been sort of so preoccupied ever since you got here.
I'm not preoccupied. Have you any writing paper?
Any what?
Writing paper. I've decided to write a letter to Chicago.
Now?
Yeah, I think it's something I've got to attend to.
Well, I have a little, but it's pink.
Well, that's all right. Gee, in a case like this, I don't think I ought to take the time to worry about the color.
Oh, all right.
What are you crying for?
I'm not crying.
Well, what have I done?
I'll tell you what you've done, Henry Aldrich. I'll tell you. You asked me to save this Saturday evening for you, and ever since you've gotten here, you've hardly said 10 words.
I have?
Yes, you have it. And now you want to write to somebody else.
To whom are you speaking?
It's only me, Mrs. Wentworth.
Oh, you wait, Henry Aldrich, and see whether I ever save you another Saturday night.
But I can't help it if the women's club is expecting Guatemala, and then he won't come.
Henry.
Mother, has Henry gone crazy?
No, I haven't. Aren't you going to the lecture Tuesday night?
Yes.
Well, that shows how much you know about it. He isn't even coming.
Who isn't?
Nobody. That's why my mother's got to get someone, and it's all on account of... Gee whiz, Mrs. Wentworth, I feel I ought to do something about it.
Well, my gracious, why didn't you say what was on your mind, Henry? Mother, you ought to know someone. You know lots of musical people in Chicago.
Well, I don't know anyone, dear, we could get on this short notice.
Do you know some musical people, Mrs. Wentworth?
Well, you see, Henry, I studied music right up until I was married.
In fact, Henry, Mother was going to have a career in music. Only Father asked her not to.
What did she play?
I sang.
Oh, gee whiz, are you the one I always hear in church? Sort of louder than everybody else?
Well, my voice always was noted for its body.
Oh, yes.
Mother, why couldn't you help the women's club out and sing?
Instead of Guatemala?
Oh, I don't think I should, Henry.
Sure, why not? Gee whiz, my mother's desperate.
Oh, now, please, Mother, I'd love to hear you sing.
Eleanor, your father'd never speak to me again.
All right, he doesn't have to go. I know my father won't.
Well, thank you just the same, Henry, but you know how people turn up their noses in this town at home talent. Has to come from Chicago or it isn't any good.
But after all, Mother, you studied in Chicago for years, right on Michigan Avenue.
Of course, the hall at the women's club is just ideally suited for my voice.
It is?
Oh, of course it is. And Mother, Mr. Tyson, who plays the organ at the church, can accompany you.
Yes, dear. If I can just keep him from playing too loud. He always thinks he's the soloist.
Oh, gee, I'll have my mother have a talk with him. She's chairman. She can tell him how loud to play.
No, dear, no. I'll take care of that. You just ask your mother whether there's anything in particular she'd like to have me sing.
Okay.
Here, let me see now.
What is it you're writing, Mrs. Wentworth?
Here are 2 suggestions for her. One's French, dear, and one's Italian.
That's fine. And is there any song you could sing from Guatemala?
Well, as usual, the tune Henry's playing seems to be just slightly off-key, and it remains to be seen whether he'll strike any more sour notes. In the meantime, if I may, I'd like to suggest a sweet note, something that should strike a chord of harmony with all of you who enjoy having a good hot drink with your meals. Folks, try a steaming, fragrant cup of delicious Postum. Sugar and cream it to suit your taste, and see if you don't agree that it's tops for goodness. I'm sure you will, because Golden Brown Postum gives you just what you want in a mealtime drink. Cheering warmth to give you that glowing feeling, tempting fragrance that says, drink hearty, and best of all, Postum's really grand flavor. Just don't expect Postum to taste like coffee any more than you'd expect coffee to taste like tea. For Postum naturally is different. Its flavor is distinctive. And believe me, when you taste it, you'll say, this shouldn't be called Postum, it should be called Post-Mmm. So tomorrow, make Postum for everyone in your family. Serve it to youngsters as well as grown-ups. And see if you don't agree that there's no hot mealtime drink quite so good as Postum for all the family. Now, getting back to the troubles of Henry Aldrich. Henry, feeling just a bit guilty because his mother is unable to get a lecturer for the Women's Club for next Tuesday night, has found that his girl's mother once studied music, and that she is more than eager to arise to the occasion. Well, as he starts for home, he carries with him a list of songs she would be willing to sing. The scene opens late that night in the Aldrich front hall.
But, Sam, I couldn't have concentrated on a game of bridge tonight if I'd had to.
Well, worrying about Tuesday night's lecture isn't going to help any. Let's go up to bed.
Have you locked the door, dear?
Yes, dear. Henry in?
Yes, dear. His coat's right here in the closet.
After all, things could be worse. Why don't you simply announce that there won't be any program?
Because I was asked to get someone. If we cancel it, I've utterly failed.
Hey, wait a minute. What's this?
What's what?
This note by the telephone.
A note?
It's from Henry. Mother, you will be relieved to hear that Mrs. Wentworth, I think, has the solution to your program. She would like, when you can, to talk to her about it.
About what?
I don't know, Alice. I haven't finished. She sent along the letter that is with this, which she says you will understand. Glad you won't have to worry any more, Henry.
Is this the letter she sent?
Yes.
Dear Mrs. Aldrich, no doubt by the time you read this, Henry will have explained everything. Here are a few suggestions for you to choose from. Don fatale, bate, casta diva. Sam, what on earth?
Let me see that. Don Fatale. Who's Don Fatale?
And bate. Sam, did you ever hear that name before?
Sound like some opera star.
Sam, I know. Those are some of Kitty's friends. She's always boasting about the people she knows.
What about it?
She's suggesting one of them for our program. She says right here at the top we can have our choice.
Yeah?
Sam, where's the phone book?
Who are you going to call?
Kitty, of course.
At this time of night?
Sam, you don't think I could sleep when I'm this excited, do you? Here it is. Hello, operator?
Alice, the Wentworths are probably in bed and asleep.
Number, please.
Elm 2621.
I thought you didn't like Kitty Wentworth.
Sam, I never said that. There are a great many things about her I haven't really cared for, but, dear, I think she has a lot more to her than people give her credit for.
Joe Wentworth always said it took time to get to know her.
I'm ringing your number.
Just keep right on. They're probably in bed. Sam, do you know, I think I'll give a dinner party for Kitty and Batty Tuesday night. That's the least I can do.
Good idea. Be quite an honor to have a concert star here for dinner.
Hello?
Is this Kitty?
Oh?
Kitty, this is Alice.
Oh?
Alice Aldrich. I just found your note along with Henry.
Oh, yes.
And I just want to say I'm so thrilled to think that you can help us.
Really, Alice?
I don't know what we would have done if you hadn't come to the rescue, because we did want to have something nice.
Oh, don't mention it, dear. I thought afterwards perhaps I'd taken Henry too seriously.
Oh, no, you just can't realize how grateful I am.
Oh, now, Alice.
There's just one thing, of course, Kitty, and I hope you won't be offended, but naturally, it's the fee, of course.
The fee? Oh, Alice, dear, there won't be any.
You mean to say there won't be any charge at all?
Well, after all, I've always wanted to do something like this for the Women's Club. Why don't you do this if you insist, Alice? Why not give the fee you were going to pay to the church?
Of course, Kitty. We could divide it among all the churches in town.
Yes, dear.
Well, I won't keep you up any longer, dear. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
What?
I certainly hate to wait 10 years to get a chance to sing at the women's club and then catch cold.
What?
But don't worry, dear. I won't let you down. Goodbye.
What? Sam! Sam! Sam Aldrich!
Here's your orange juice, Mother.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
You want another pillow under your head?
No, thank you.
Now, Mary, if I were you, I'd tiptoe back downstairs.
Sam, aren't you going to eat any breakfast?
I've eaten.
Mother, do you mind if I ask you just one question before I go?
What is it?
Why aren't either of you speaking to Henry?
That's just a little matter concerning us, Mary.
But, Father, I'd like to know because maybe I shouldn't be speaking to him either.
You shouldn't.
Really?
Now, just go downstairs.
Yes, Father, I'll go.
Aren't you going to drink your orange juice, Alice?
Sam, you can look at this objectively. You can look at it as a man would. What shall I do?
I have no idea.
Of course, there's a lot of influenza around. I might get the Board of Health to forbid our holding the concert.
Well, you can't get the Board of Health to do that. In the first place, the health commissioner is Kitty Wentworth's cousin.
Well, I know what I'm going to do.
What?
Sam, I've been thinking things over. I have entirely too much work to do around this house. My family needs me, Sam. I'm going to resign.
From what?
From the women's club.
Alice, you can't do that.
But I've heard her sing.
Alice, Joe Wentworth has been one of my best friends for 20 years.
Father,
Henry, your mother would rather you did not come in.
I don't want to come in, Father. I just want to ask if I may go to church.
To church?
Yes, sir.
I think it's a very good idea. You may go with me.
The only trouble is my coat. Well, that's all right.
Henry, open the door a minute.
Are you sure it won't bother you, Mother?
Henry, what tie are you going to wear?
My black one.
Dear, I want you to wear your brown one.
Wouldn't black be more appropriate?
Now, Sam.
You don't mind if when church is over I stay for Sunday school, do you?
Not at all. Now, please leave the room.
Yes, sir. And then I'll come home and help Mary get dinner and rest a little this afternoon until I go back to evening service.
Better step along, Henry, or we'll be late.
Gee, there are quite a few going to church this morning, aren't there?
Yes, sir.
Father, have you heard whether there's much influenza around?
Oh, I understand there's some. Nothing serious, however.
Oh. Father, how big is the fire escape at the women's club?
I have no idea.
Gee whiz, which house is all that singing coming from?
I believe that's coming from the Wentworths.
From the Wentworths? You mean she's warming up already?
Yes. Let's cross the street.
Remember, on Wednesday night, our regular Wednesday meeting will be held at this church as usual. Miss Eleanor Wentworth handed me this next announcement just before the service began. On Tuesday evening, the Centerville Women's Club Winter Forum will contribute a part of its receipts to the town's churches. The program, instead of being Guatemala the Beautiful, will be a vocal concert sung by our own Mrs. Joseph Wentworth. Let us pray.
When was that telegram sent, Alice?
This morning, dear, the 20th.
What does it say?
Only speaker we can send you for your program tomorrow evening is Dr. Calvin Anderson Butler on subject of child behavior. Has had 11 years' experience in boys' reform schools and guarantee he will solve your problems. Please wire.
Is that all?
Sam, I've made up my mind. I'm going to phone Kitty Wentworth and tell her just as nicely as I know how that we do not want her to sing.
But, Alice, you can't tell her that.
I don't care. We're going to have Dr. Calvin Anderson Butler.
Number, please.
Elm 2621.
Very well. Maybe it is for the best.
No, I don't know why I didn't have enough courage to do it in the first place.
I'll have a talk with Joe Wentworth. He'll understand.
Hello, Eleanor. May I speak with your mother, please?
Oh, she isn't here right now, Mrs. Aldrich.
Well, Eleanor, when do you expect her back?
I'm afraid not until sometime tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes, she's gone to Chicago.
Where?
To Chicago. She wanted to get some new clothes for the concert tomorrow night.
Really? Well, isn't that lovely, dear?
Yes, and while she's there, she's going to work for a while with her old singing teacher.
Oh, I see.
Goodbye, Mrs. Aldrich.
Goodbye, Eleanor. Sam.
Alice, take a look at this.
What is it?
The morning paper. Here it is, the whole thing.
Sam, it's a picture of Kitty.
And look at the heading, Local Thrush to replace Guatemala. Now, Alice, this is no time in which to have hysterics again.
Homer, my mother wants to know whether you'd like a little job for tonight.
Doing what?
Ushering.
Well, I'll usher, Henry, but I won't listen.
Well, that's all right. When it begins, we can sit out on the front steps. That's what my father says he's going to do.
Gee, you ought to see how sore my mother is about tonight. How did your mother happen to ask Mrs. Wentworth to sing?
Well, we're very fond of the whole family. Come on, let's go in the station, Homer.
What for?
I want to weigh myself on these scales. Here, hold my Latin.
Boy, have you lost weight.
Well, gee, Homer, I've had a bad week.
Henry.
Do you want me, Mr. Taylor?
You want to earn 10 cents, Henry? I've got a telegram here from Mr. Wentworth, and I haven't been able to get in touch with him.
You want me to take it up to him?
Sure. Here's the message, and here's your dime.
Well, thank you very much.
And, Henry, don't you fool around any. I think that telegram's important.
Oh, you can depend on me, Mr. Taylor. I'll hold it in my hand so I can't possibly forget. Thank you very much.
Hello? Centerville Station.
This is Joe Wentworth speaking. Is that 320 from Chicago about on time?
Say, I've been trying to get you. I just sent a telegram up to you by Henry Aldrich.
A telegram?
I didn't take it when it came in, but I understand it. It said your wife is stuck in Chicago without any money.
Who, Kitty?
It's too bad she didn't get a round-trip ticket when she bought it.
What did she do, lose her purse?
No, I understand she said she spent more money on clothes than she figured she would. And the telegram Henry's taking up to you has the address where you're supposed to wire the money.
I see. Well, thank you very much.
Sorry I can't get to your wife's concert tonight, Mr. Wentworth. Seems my wife forgot we had a previous engagement.
Too bad. By the way, do you see those two boys coming up Main Street?
Yes, sir.
One of them isn't Henry Aldrich, is it?
I believe it is.
Oh, yes, so it is. Well, I guess I'll be stepping down Walnut for something.
Look, Homer, look, there he is in front of the filling station.
Where?
Right there, getting his tank filled. And Homer, he sees us.
Wave to him.
Oh, Mr. Wentworth! Oh, Mr. Wentworth!
What's the matter with him, Henry? He's driving right off.
Well, gee whiz, I could have sworn he looked straight at us.
Boy, am I getting sick of this, Henry.
We haven't been looking for him for so long, Homer. Only about 2 hours.
Sure. At the rate of 5 cents an hour. From now on, we work for nothing.
Well, I don't understand why we didn't catch up with him this time. He looked right at us again and then beat it into this drugstore.
Maybe he's getting blind, Henry.
Well, look, just so he doesn't miss us again, I'll go in this door and you slip around the corner and go in the side door.
Okay.
We've got him cornered, Homer, and we haven't anything more to worry about. Tickets, please.
Tickets, please.
The program started yet, Henry?
Yes, Mrs. Thompson. It's been going on for some time.
Very many in there?
Oh, gee, practically every seat's taken. In fact, I'm afraid you'll have to stand.
Is that so?
Just a second, if you don't mind going in real quietly, I'll open the door for you.
All right, Henry.
And so far, ladies and gentlemen, I have given you only the basic fundamentals of our subject for this evening, child behavior. During my first 3 years at the head of a reform school...
He's pretty good, isn't he, Henry?
Not bad. I think everybody's having a good time, don't you, Homer?
My father even came when he heard what the subject was.
Program started, boys.
Well, gee whiz, Mr. Wentworth, where did you come from?
Nowhere in particular. Did your father meet the speaker?
Yes, sir, and I've got a telegram here I've been trying to give you ever since 3 o'clock this afternoon.
A telegram?
Yes, sir, and they said it was very urgent.
Yes? All right to go in this door here?
But aren't you going to read it?
I'll read it later. I want to hear the lecture. And I want to thank you for delivering it, Henry. I thank you very much.
Oh, I don't know whether you can get a seat in there or not.
I think I can. Your father said he'd save one for me.
Oh, have you seen him?
Had a little talk with him this afternoon.
And you parents who hesitate in giving your children responsibility should realize that although there is a certain amount of risk involved, in the end, our youngsters do somehow manage to get things done. It may not be in a straight line, but I have yet to see it fail when they didn't eventually get there.
You know, Henry, that fellow ought to do a lot of good in this town.
Let's step out and get some fresh air.
That's what I say. They say they took in enough money so that every church in town can get a new window.
Stained?
Sure.
Gee, that makes me feel pretty good. You talk as though you'd done the whole thing, Henry. Well, of course, I'm not entirely responsible, Homer, but I've sort of contributed my share.
Henry Aldrich will be back in just a moment. In the meantime, friends, remember your two best reasons for drinking Postum are these. Because if coffee makes you nervous, Postum can't possibly affect your nerves. And because Postum really does taste swell, it's a grand, flavorful drink for all the family. So get Postum from your grocer tomorrow. Our program tonight has come to you from the Philadelphia Forum. Listen again next week to the Aldrich family, same time, same station, for another sparkling half hour with your favorite youngster, his family, and his pals. The Aldrich Family, starring Ezra Stone, is written by Clifford Goldsmith. Original music is composed and conducted by Jack Miller. This is Harry Von Zell saying you will enjoy fragrant, flavorful Postum. And remember, Postum contains no stimulants. It cannot make you nervous. Good night.
Present
Henry Aldrich.
Coming, Mother.
Postum presents The Aldrich Family, written by Clifford Goldsmith. Entertainment for all the family, brought to you by Postum, a tempting, wholesome drink for all the family. Postum. Have you noticed, friends, how a mother can sing as simple a melody as that to a baby? And very often, even before she's finished the song, that baby is sunk in sweet, sound slumber. But as we grow older, many of us lose the ability to slip off to sleep quickly. And isn't that particularly true about some of you who drink coffee? For coffee does keep many people awake, even though others can drink it without ill effect. If you happen to be one of the wakeful ones, it might be sensible to switch to Postum, which contains no caffeine or other stimulant. Nothing at all that can possibly rob you of sleep. Postum has a grand flavor, you know. Rich, full-bodied. The kind of drink that makes you fairly expand with satisfaction. So if you think coffee disturbs your sleep, start now to make Postum your regular mealtime drink instead of coffee. Give it a fair trial. And then see if you're not pleased as punch that you switched. First, because you're sleeping so much better. And second, because Postum is such a really swell drink. A boy is a boy, and that's all there is to it. He gets into difficulties somehow, and he gets out of them somehow, like Henry Aldrich. But what happens in between is usually unforgettable. The scene opens at the Aldrich dinner table.
Will you have another piece of cherry pie, Sam?
No, thank you, Alice.
Sam, are you upset about something?
Who, I, Alice? No, what makes you think I'm upset?
Well, dear, you've hardly spoken during this entire dinner.
Well, frankly, I don't for the life of me see why you had to invite Homer over here for dinner and to spend the night.
Sam, I had to. His mother and father have gone over to Abbott City. And besides, one more person certainly isn't going to make any great difference.
But, Alice, do you realize it's 20 minutes after 8 and we're finishing dinner and Henry and Homer haven't even shown up yet?
Yes, dear, and I'm going to speak to both of them. Although the only thing I feel bad about is these potato pancakes.
And that's another thing, Alice. How did we happen to have potato pancakes?
Well, I was going to have creamed cauliflower, but Homer says he doesn't eat it.
That's still no excuse for potato pancakes.
Sam, they're one of Homer's favorite dishes. That's also why I went to the trouble of making a cherry pie. Homer loves cherries.
Then I say the least he could have done was to have been here in time to eat them. Just where are the boys? Can't we phone them someplace?
Well, I don't know where they are. They left here right after school and went out to sell war bonds.
They're selling war bonds?
Yes, dear. They've both been made Minutemen.
Minutemen? Well, they're an hour and a quarter late. Alice, how do you know something hasn't happened to them?
Now, Sam, just be sensible. They certainly aren't very far away. Oh, that may be Henry right now. He wants you to come and get him someplace.
You tell Henry that wherever he is, he's to start for home at once.
Yes, dear. Hello? Yes, Mrs. Kendall. This is Mrs. Aldrich. Oh, really? Really, this afternoon? You don't say so. Well, Mrs. Kendall, I'll tell him. Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
Alice, did you tell him his dinner's getting cold?
Sam, that was Mrs. Kendall, and she's terribly upset.
Yes? What's the trouble?
Well, she just discovered Henry made out a war bond pledge for her to sign, and she thought it was for $100, and it was for $1,000.
Yeah?
And he also left one of his fur-lined gloves there.
At the Kendalls? Alice, the Kendalls live at least a mile and a half out of town.
Yes, dear, on the North Road. But a mile and a half isn't so far.
I know, but it started to snow. It's snowing hard, and I say they ought to be here.
Did you get your folks, Henry?
No, Homer. Gee whiz, the line's still busy.
Boy.
Every time I call them, it seems to be busy.
Boys, we just had a phone call for you.
You did, Mrs. Cooper, from my father?
From your father? No, from Mrs. Snyder. She lives about a mile on up the road.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes, she called to ask whether you know you left one of your overshoes at her house.
We did. Oh, boy, look, it's mine.
Now, listen, Homer, you're getting more darn careless.
Well, I can't remember everything, Henry. I have to carry all our pencils and all our bond information, don't I?
Say, aren't you boys sort of hungry?
Hungry?
I've got some nice corned beef and cabbage out in the kitchen I could warm up for you.
Oh, no, Henry's mother has a swell dinner waiting for us. She fixed some potato pancakes and a cherry pie, just because I like them.
Potato pancakes and cherry pie?
Sure. As a matter of fact, I like any kind of cherries. Just so long as they're canned.
Well, you're easy to please, aren't you?
Jane.
Yes, Will, I'll be right there.
Henry, don't you think you ought to try phoning your folks again?
Well, I'll try, Homer. But my folks know we're out selling bonds, and if they aren't worried, why should we get upset?
I'll answer it, Alice. If that's the boys, I want to speak to them. Hello? Yes, this is Samuel Aldrich.
Who is it, Sam?
It's long distance.
Oh, my goodness.
Hello?
Sam, who is it?
Hello? Alice, it's Homer's mother.
Oh, my goodness, from way over in Abbott City?
Yes, Elizabeth, Homer's fine. No, he's no trouble at all. Mrs. Aldrich made some potato pancakes for him tonight, and... You want to speak to them? Well, Elizabeth, right this minute, he and Henry stepped out for a few minutes, but there's nothing to worry about, I don't think. Yes, Elizabeth, we'll see that he wears his overshoes. Yes, goodbye.
Sam, do you realize it's going on 9 o'clock?
Well, what if it is?
But don't you realize it's snowing out and Henry has only one glove?
I know it, Alice, but you told me not to worry.
Dear, if Elizabeth Brown was worried enough to call all the way from Abbott City, it seems to me the least you can do is worry a little. Sam, let me answer it. I'll see who it is. Hello? Yes, this is Mrs. Aldrich. Yes, Mr. Edmonds. My goodness, 2 hours ago? His earmuffs? Well, thank you so much. Goodbye.
Where is he?
Henry left his earmuffs at the Edmonds out on the North Road nearly 2 hours ago.
At the Edmonds? That means they're getting farther and farther away from home.
And Sam, just listen to that wind howl out there.
Well, I know what I'm going to do.
Sam, where are you going?
To get my hat and coat.
You mean you're going to look for them? But, Sam, do you think you can drive the car through this snowstorm?
Now, don't worry about me, Alice. It's the boys you've got to think about.
Are those boys comfortable in the other room, Jane?
Yes, Will. And, Will, don't say anything, but I'm going to surprise them.
Yes?
I'm going to fix them some potato pancakes and open a can of cherries.
Yeah. Was that all?
Well, one of them says it's all he ever eats.
Yes?
Mr. Cooper?
Yes, sir. I'll be right there.
Mr. Cooper, are you sure your phone works all right?
I don't know why it shouldn't. You boys wouldn't like to stay overnight, would you?
Oh, no thanks. If we don't get home before long, my folks might begin to wonder where we are.
Sorry we couldn't buy a bond from you boys. If we only had some way to get our cow into town and sell her, I'd be able to buy one.
You would, Mr. Cooper?
Yeah, but my truck's broken down.
Well, Henry, why couldn't we help him get his cow into town?
Sure. We could walk her in for you.
Well, if you want to come out and get her someday, she's right out there in the barn.
And you'll buy a war bond?
We'll turn every cent we can get for her into bonds.
Will, where's the can opener?
Just a minute, Jane. I'll be right there.
Boy, Henry, I'll bet if we could sell that cow, we'd get $50 for her. 50, Homer. 50? Are you crazy? Is that too much for a good cow? Too much, Homer. Gee whiz, I heard of a cow once selling for $1,000. $1,000? Or maybe it was $2,000 or $3,000. Just an ordinary cow? What do you mean ordinary? She gave something like 5 tons of butter a year. Does that sound very ordinary? 5 tons of butter? Sure. Are you sure it was butter? Homer, the point is we can sell Mr. Cooper a bond. Oh. Well, listen, Henry, is that the wind I hear outside? Boy, we ought to be getting started for home. What do you say we take a look out the front door? Put your things on first, Homer. I'm putting them on. Come on, let's take a look out here. Oh, boy. Henry, do you think we ought to go home tonight? We've got to. Don't you realize we're going to sell more bonds tomorrow, and we've got to get an early start? Well, that's true. Well, let's get started. Oh, Mrs. Cooper. Mrs. Cooper! Mr. Cooper! I wonder where they are. Henry, don't leave their door open like that. Close it and come on. Okay. Now, don't push me, Homer. I'm not pushing you. I'm just hanging on to you. Listen, Homer, I've got an idea. Boy, if we can do it.
Good evening, Mrs. Edmonds.
Good evening, Mr. Aldrich. What are you doing way out here? Come on in out of the snow.
Thank you. I understand Henry and a friend of his were out here, and I thought you might give me some information as to which way they went.
Well, as I recall it, they were here about 6 o'clock. Mr. Edmonds bought a bond from them. Oh, and incidentally, here are Henry's earmuffs.
Oh, thank you.
But I have no idea as to which direction they went from here, Mr. Aldrich.
No? Do you mind if I use your phone, Mrs. Edmonds?
No, help yourself. It's right here.
Thank you. Hello?
Number, please.
Elm 303.
Elm 303.
Please.
You mean your boy's lost?
Oh, no. No, Henry isn't lost, but it's getting on toward 10 o'clock, and naturally we'll feel more comfortable.
Hello?
Hello, is this you, Alice?
Yes, dear. Where are you?
I'm out at the Edmonds.
Well, my goodness, Sam, they announced on the radio that the storm was getting worse and the cars were getting stuck. And I phoned for a tow truck to go out and find you.
Alice, why did you do that?
Because I hadn't heard from you, Sam. Did you find the boy?
No, Alice, I thought that maybe by this time you would have some word from them.
Well, I've had one phone call, Sam, from the Joneses.
The Joneses?
They live out on the North Road. And Mr. Jones says Henry and Homer had been there, and that after they left, he found an automatic pencil with your name on it.
My pencil?
Yes, dear.
Well, that's a fine thing. Alice, I'm going to have a talk with Henry.
Now, dear, let's not worry about a pencil at a time like this. Let's find the boys.
All right.
Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye. Mrs. Edmonds.
Yes, Mr. Aldrich.
Which direction do the Joneses live from here?
Well, you want to go on out this road about 2 more miles.
2 miles?
Yes. Are the boys out there?
No, but they've been out that way.
Mr. Aldrich, I've just been talking with Mr. Edmonds, and he's going to take his car and work in the other direction.
You sure it won't be too much trouble?
No, not at all. He went to bed a little early tonight, but just as soon as he gets his clothes on, he'll be starting.
Oh, thanks. Some night out.
Mr. Aldrich, don't you want me to get you a paper bag to put those earmuffs in?
No, thank you. I'll put them right on.
Boy, is this some night, Homer? Keep your head down, Henry, and sort of walk backwards. What do you think I'm doing? Boy. Henry, look ahead. There's a truck or something. Where? Right down the road. It's just standing there. Oh, boy. Come on. I'm coming. There's only so fast I can go, though, Henry. Gee whiz, I'm not Hercules. Look, Homer, it's a tow truck. Hey, mister! Mister!
Who's that?
It's us! Can you give us a lift, please?
Okay, if I can get out of this drift here.
Well, gee whiz, are you going all the way into Centerville?
Yep. Just as soon as I find a car I'm out looking for. Hop on the back.
Well, look, do you have room for a cow on your truck?
What's that?
We've got this cow, see? We're taking her into town for a guy, and we're going to surprise him.
You're what?
Sure. He wants to buy a bond.
Say, ain't she cold?
Oh, gee, no. We got 2 blankets tied around her.
Jane, how are you you're coming. Shall I tell the boys to come into their supper?
Not for another minute, Will. I want to get these potato pancakes a little bit browner.
I knew all the time we'd find a can of cherries down the cellar. Just a case of our keeping on, we located them.
Didn't I hear Bess mooing when we came up from the cellar?
Well, what if you did? She's all right.
She's good and warm out there in the barn.
Of course she is. She likes the cold.
All right, Will. You better call them.
Boys, Mrs. Cooper has a little surprise for you. Boys.
Tell them to hurry right up, Will.
Boys. Oh, boys!
Bess, come on. Come with Henry. You know, Henry, she isn't a bad cow, is she? No, she isn't. And I think she likes walking better than she did riding on that truck. Boy, that wasn't a lot of work. Just nicely got her on the darn thing, and he runs right into another drift. That driver was a nice guy, though. It was very decent of him to promise to buy a bond from us. Well, wait a second, Henry, wait a second. What's the matter? Have we gotten off the road a little? Oh, boy, where'd this snowdrift come from? Now, wait, Homer. Get around on the other side of her, and we'll try to back her out. Oh, wait a second, Henry, wait a second. I think she's getting cold around the ears. Well, what are you going to do? Tie my muffler around her head. What do you think? Well, gee whiz, that's a good idea. Then she'll be really comfortable.
Yes, this is Mrs. Aldrich's residence. Why, no, Mr. Kilmer, I haven't heard a word from Sam. Yes, Mr. Kilmer, they went right out on the North Road. Well, if you don't mind taking your car out on a night like this, I'd certainly appreciate it.
Gee, Homer, it's nice and warm in here. Yeah, boy. Imagine finding a roadside stand open this time of night. Boy, I wish we had a little money with us. I'll say. Something smells good, doesn't it? Homer, are you sure you tied Bess real tight? Sure, I tied her with a special slip knot I learned from a guy. She ought to be very comfortable where we left her. There isn't any wind there or anything.
Something I can do for you, boys?
Oh, why, no, ma'am. We couldn't have a sort of a drink of water, could we?
A drink of water?
Yeah, we've been out in that darn storm, and are we thirsty?
Which way are you driving?
We're not driving, we're walking.
Walking?
Yeah, we've been selling war bonds, and I guess we got a little further out than we thought we had.
You've been selling bonds?
Yeah.
Had any dinner?
No, ma'am. That's why we'd sort of appreciate a glass of water, if it wouldn't be too much trouble.
Well, you certainly ought to have something to eat. I'll be glad to fix you up.
Free of charge, free of charge.
You want a hamburger and some soup?
A hamburger? The only thing is, you don't have any potato pancakes, do you?
Potato pancakes?
And canned cherries? I sort of had my mind made up for those all day.
Potato pancakes?
And do you have any hay?
Any hay?
Sure, for Bess. She's outside. Henry, she wouldn't want some corn, too, would she? No, Homer. It might upset her.
Well, I can get you the potato cakes and the cherries, but I can't get you the rest.
Well, that's all right. I think Bess had a little supper before we left anyhow.
Say, boys, have either of you got a shotgun?
What's that? A shotgun?
Yeah, there's a moose outside here.
Gee whiz, a moose!
Scared the daylights out of me. First it made a noise like a cow, and then as it swung around the building here and headed out toward the road, I saw it was a big, shaggy moose.
Homer, come on. Listen, Henry, I'm not going to chase any moose. Where'd it go, mister? Where'd it go?
He headed right up the road there.
Homer, aren't you coming? That's Bess. Come on.
Well, I don't know. It begins to look as if Homer Brown would never get those potato pancakes, doesn't it? On the other hand, by the time he and Henry plow through another mile or two of cold and snow, they may be lots more interested in something good and hot to drink. And that could very well be Postum. For Postum is certainly a good drink, and served piping hot in the cup with cream or top milk added to taste, Postum has a look that says, "Drink me," in capital letters. And as for taste, it's my opinion there isn't a mealtime drink made that can beat that tantalizing goodness, that lusty, robust Postum flavor. A flavor that's really distinctive, really unusual. Now, that means you mustn't expect when you try it that Postum is going to taste like coffee any more than you'd expect coffee to taste like tea. Remember, Postum has its own special goodness. And like as not, when you've once discovered how very good that is, you and Postum will be mealtime partners the rest of your days. So tomorrow, get Postum at your grocer's. And tomorrow night, get set to enjoy one of America's great mealtime drinks, Postum. Now getting back to the troubles of Henry Aldrich. Henry and his friend Homer, out selling war bonds, have been unable to get back home in time for dinner because of a heavy blizzard. The scene opens on a road some distance outside Centerville. The time is very late at night.
Aren't you Mr. Aldrich from Centerville?
I am.
Well, guess you're the fellow I was sent out to tow in.
Oh, yeah?
How'd you get your car sideways across the road like this?
Well, I've been out looking for my son and a friend of his, and I was driving along, and I know you won't believe me, but coming right up the road toward me, I saw a bear.
What's that?
A big black bear. He was walking on all fours, and I jammed on the brakes and swerved around like this.
Well, Mr. Aldrich, there aren't any bears in this part of the country.
That's what I thought, but I saw it with my own eyes. What's that, another car trying to get by?
Hey, what's the trouble there? There's a fella here says he was just attacked by a bear.
What's that? Look, while you're hooking on, I'll go into this roadside stand here and phone my wife.
Something I can do for you?
Good evening. You have a telephone here?
Sure, right over there by that jukebox.
By the way, you couldn't be fixing something up for me that's hot, could you?
Well, I've got a special on tonight. Potato pancakes.
Potato pancake? No, thanks. I'll just telephone.
Come on, Homer. Come on in the house.
I'm coming. Boy, am I cold.
Mother will fix us up with something right away. Mother!
Mrs. Aldrich.
Mother! Father! Do you suppose they've gone out?
Come on, Henry. Let's see what's out in the kitchen.
You know, I think Bess is going to be very comfortable where we left her.
I don't know why she shouldn't be.
Look, Homer, look in the icebox. Your favorite food.
What is it, Henry? What is it?
Potato pancakes.
And boy, do I like 'em cold.
And look, Homer, there's half a cherry pie there.
Oh, boy, we'll split it, Henry.
Here, put it on here over on the kitchen table.
Okay. Oh, boy, what a dinner. Oh, boy.
Now, listen, Homer, when you cut that pie, at least use a knife.
It breaks all right, Henry. It breaks very nicely. Hand me a potato pancake.
Don't bother me, Homer. I just found something.
What?
A note here. It's for my father. It says, Sam, Harriet called and thinks they might have gone to the movies. Have gone down to the movies to look.
Who wrote it?
My mother. Who do you think? Wait, I wonder if it's a good picture she's seen.
Aren't you going to eat anything, Henry?
Here, Homer, use a fork. Remember, you're a guest.
I don't need a fork. I'll just roll them up and slip them in.
Answer the phone, will you, while I catch up with you?
Okay.
Homer, won't you please hurry?
I'm going to answer it, Henry. I've got to get my mouth emptied first, though. Hello? Who? Well, this is Homer Brown. Oh, gee whiz, is that you, Mother? Sure, this is Homer. Well, I haven't been any place. Oh, we got a cow, see? A cow! We're going to turn it into war bonds. No, Mr. and Mrs. Aldrich aren't here. They've gone to the movies. Sure. And in a few minutes, I'm going to bed.
Yes, Alice.
My goodness, dear, where have you been?
Where have I been? Where have I been?
Where are the boys? Haven't you found them?
No, Alice. All I found were these earmuffs, this overshoe, and my pencil. Where were you when I was trying to phone you?
Sam, didn't you get my note?
What note?
Oh, of course you didn't, dear. How could you? I've been down to the movies.
You went to the movies?
Yes, dear, and I just called Harriet and gave her a piece of my mind.
What about?
She gets the silliest ideas, Sam. First she called me and said she thought she'd seen the boys going to the movies earlier in the evening. And now what do you think she says?
What?
She says there's a story going around that somebody saw a bear out on the edge of town.
What's wrong with that?
What?
I saw a bear myself.
Now, Sam.
I did, Alice. That's how I got stuck.
Has something gone wrong with the car?
No, it's all right now. I've got it out in front. And what I want to know is where I'm going to look for the boys next. Alice. Did you hear what I just heard?
No, dear. What was it?
Well, I'm not sure, but it sounded like a cow.
Now, Sam, first you see a bear, and then you come home and hear cows.
I don't know what it is I hear, but it's certainly something, and I'm going out to see what it is.
But, Sam... Hello? What's that, Mrs. Edmonds? Mr. Edmonds is back home? He had to leave his car on a hill. Oh, isn't that a shame? Mr. Aldrich left what at your place? His scarf? Well, thank you so much for calling.
Mother!
Goodbye.
Mother, is that you down there?
Henry Aldrich, where are you?
Gee whiz, I've been in bed. Did you see a good picture?
Henry, what's happened to Homer?
Oh, me, Mrs. Aldrich? I'm all right. I just have a little stomach ache.
For some reason, Mother, we weren't able to get to sleep.
May I ask where you've been?
Selling bonds, Mother. And it looks as though we're going to break all the records.
Boy, I'll say. We sold a bond at darn near every place we went to.
But, dear...
Oh, gee, look at my earmuffs. Did I leave these here before I start off today?
Henry, your father found those.
Father? Where is he?
He's outside, dear. And when he comes in, I wouldn't bother him very much.
Is something wrong with him, Mrs. Aldrich?
He's tired, Homer. Very tired. And so much on edge he even thinks he hears a cow.
A cow, Mother?
Yes, dear. He just stepped out to look for one.
Gee whiz, Henry, do you suppose Bess is calling us?
Who?
Bess, Mother, Bess. Our war bond cow.
Sure, Mrs. Aldrich. We're going to surprise a farmer.
Surprise a what?
A farmer, Mother. We're going to sell his cow for him.
Where?
Where?
Henry, where is the cow?
Out in the garage.
In the garage?
Sure, we brought her all the way into town.
Through this storm?
Yes, Mother, but we kept her good and warm.
And we now have a cow out in our garage?
Sure. We even gave her some oatmeal.
Boy, did she lap it up.
Now, dear, oatmeal.
Sure, Mother, we even put some milk on it.
Milk? You gave her some of our milk?
Oh, no, Mrs. Aldrich. We drew some off of her and poured it on the oatmeal and gave it back to her.
Well, boys, if I were you, I'd go back upstairs before your father comes in.
Right now?
Right now.
Will you promise to call us, Mrs. Aldrich, if he feels Bess wants us?
Yes, dear.
Come on, Homer. As a matter of fact, I'm beginning to feel the strain a little myself.
Same here. At least I want to lie down.
Alice,
Yes, Sam?
I know you'll say I'm seeing things, but there is a cow in our garage.
Well, yes, dear, of course there is.
What's that?
The boys put her there.
What boys?
Henry and Homer, they're upstairs in bed.
Why didn't you tell me? What did they bring a cow home for?
Well, Sam...
Of all...
Now, Sam, where are you going?
I'm going up and have a talk with them.
Now, Sam, come back here.
What for?
Don't you realize those boys have been selling bonds all day?
That's no excuse, Alice. Think of what I've been through tonight.
But, dear, think of what they've been through, too. They sold a bond at every house they went to.
Yes?
And that cow, Sam, that upset you so. Do you realize what that cow is?
What?
A war bond pledge.
What's that?
Yes, dear. And they led her all the way back to town through this storm and everything. They hadn't even had supper. My goodness, Sam, don't you realize what that means?
But, Alice, they might have given us a little consideration.
Sam, they hadn't even given themselves consideration. There's only one thing that was important, and that was to sell just as many bonds as they possibly could. That's the only spirit with which we're going to win this whole war.
Well...
Mother!
Yes, dear?
Could you come take a look at Homer?
At Homer?
Yes, please. He's beginning to think the cherries in that pie weren't pitted.
Friends, you can get Postum in two forms, Postum and Instant Postum. Instant Postum is the quick and easy way to make 1 cup or 6, because Instant Postum dissolves instantly in your cup by just adding boiling water. No matter which form of Postum you choose, however, you can count on enjoying a delightful and distinctive treat. For Postum is one of America's great mealtime drinks.
Here you are, Mrs. Cooper.
Yes, Mr. Aldrich?
Here's the money the boys got when they sold your cow.
Well, thank you.
And now you can sign a pledge for a bond.
Well, it certainly was nice of you to drive all the way out here. Won't you stay and have a little bite of lunch with us?
Can we, Father?
Why, fine.
All right, I'll go out to the kitchen and put the potato pancakes on.
Potato pancake? Now, wait.
Listen again next week, same time, same station, for another sparkling half hour with your favorite youngster, his family, and his pals. The Aldrich Family is written by Clifford Goldsmith. The original musical score is conducted by Jack Miller. And this is Dan Seymour saying, your host tonight is Postum, and Postum is one of America's great mealtime drinks. It's good drinking. Good night.
Jello Puddings present
Henry Aldrich.
Coming, Mother.
The Aldrich Family, based on characters originated by Clifford Goldsmith, and starring Ezra Stone as Henry with Jackie Kelk as Homer. Brought to you by Jello Puddings.
Just a taste of Jello puddings, and believe me, you will know they are made by famous Jello.
Yes, Jello Puddings, those old-time, all-time favorites you've always known and loved. All three so rich and distinctive, so creamy smooth, with an old-fashioned homemade goodness. There's Jello chocolate pudding, rich, dark, and luscious. There's buttery brown sugar butterscotch, and creamy rich vanilla, a trio of treats. They're made with milk and nourishing. They cook to perfection in just about 5 minutes. And all three Jello puddings are so gloriously good, you'll say you never tasted anything better. And now for the Aldrich family. There's something about a teenage boy that makes all of us laugh and remember and live again the days of our youth. And if he's a typical teenager like Henry Aldrich, it's always a pleasure to join him in the joys and misadventures that were ours when we were young. It's evening. The scene is the Aldrich living room.
Father, may I just point out one thing?
What?
It's only $7.50. And do you realize how much a new suit of clothes would cost?
You want a new suit of clothes?
No, sir. I'd rather have a school ring.
Henry, for the last time, I'm not buying you a school ring. Now, I'd like to read my paper.
But, Father, everybody in school is getting one. All the kids I know just went home and asked for money, and their father said, sure, gee whiz, you're welcome to it, and just forked over.
I see.
But I appreciate your being economical, Father. Gee, if you didn't pinch pennies around here, you wouldn't have any bank account at all.
Well, I'm glad you realize that.
You've built up quite a nice bank account that way, haven't you, Father?
I have.
So you really wouldn't miss $7.50, would you?
Henry, if you think I'm going to hand over $7.50 for a ring that you'll wind up giving to some girl...
Father, whatever gave you an idea like that? Gee, the rings are solid gold with our school crest on them, in 2 colors. Why would I give a thing like that to a girl?
I don't know, son, but we all do.
You mean you once gave a ring to a girl?
Henry, I'm trying to read my paper.
Oh. But, Father, I haven't told you why I really need it.
You haven't?
You see, the teachers all feel that we need something to keep up our morale. Just imagine you're sitting in history class, see, and you're bored stiff, and you just happen to glance down at your ring, and it's got your good old school crest on it. And, boy, you want to stand up and cheer.
That's very interesting. Go on.
And then you think of how much Central High means to you, and it all comes back that you're there to get an education.
Yes?
So you pile into your history like a ton of bricks, and you wind up first in your class.
Everybody winds up first?
Oh, no, sir, just me.
Oh.
So can't I please have a school ring?
No.
Father, have you thought of this?
Henry, have you thought of this? If I bought you that ring, you wouldn't have it a week before it would be lost.
Lost, Father? Lost? How could I lose it when it's on my finger?
What about that fountain pen I bought you last month? You wanted to know how you could lose that when it was clipped to your jacket.
Well, I didn't lose that pen, Father.
No?
I just lost the jacket.
I see.
And I couldn't very well lose my finger.
Henry, I'm not going to argue. The point is, until your memory improves, I'm not buying you another thing.
Oh, my memory, Father. Is that all that's worrying you?
Is that all? Henry, do you realize how important memory is?
Sure, Father. And from now on, you're going to see a big change in me.
Good.
Boy, I'm going to remember every single thing I can lay my mind on. For instance, do you know what year the Battle of Waterloo was fought?
What year?
I'll go and look it up. You wait there, Father, and I'll...
Henry, look out.
Gee, I'm sorry, Mother. Did I knock you over?
Not quite. My goodness, Sam, what's he so excited about?
Alice, I'm supposed to be a good lawyer, but I'd hate to come up against Henry in court.
He does have a way with him, doesn't he?
He does indeed. It's about that school ring.
Sam, why don't you get it for him?
I am going to get it for him for a Christmas present.
Oh.
But I'm not sure I'll be able to hold out that long.
May I have the toast, please, Mother?
Yes, dear. Some more coffee, Sam?
Just half a cup, please. Why isn't Henry down for breakfast?
He'll be right down. My, isn't this a lovely morning?
Mother, is there anything we can do about Henry this evening?
How do you mean, dear?
Well, with Joe Graham coming and everything, I don't want Henry coaxing for that ring all through dinner. Joe will think we haven't got a cent.
Well, if Joe's interested only in your money, you might as well find it out right now.
Oh, Father.
Anyway, Mary, about that ring, your father's decided...
Alice.
What, dear?
Mary, will you please run out to the kitchen and fry me another egg?
All right, Father.
Sam, what's the matter?
I don't want Mary to know I'm getting Henry that ring. She's sure to let the cat out of the bag.
Oh, yes, dear, perhaps you're right. My, I can't wait to see Henry's face on Christmas morning.
The only thing is, have you any idea how we can get his finger size?
Sam, I thought you were going to measure his finger last night when he was asleep.
I did, but something went wrong.
What happened, dear?
Well, I got the string nicely knotted around his finger, and just as I went to cut it, he rolled over.
On the scissors?
No, Alice, on the string. His hand disappeared under his chest someplace, and every time I tried to get it, he just giggled.
Sam.
What?
Here he comes.
Oh. Alice, this is a grand breakfast.
Good morning, Mother.
Good morning, dear.
Good morning, Father.
Good morning, Henry.
Well, goodbye.
Henry, what do you mean goodbye? What about your breakfast?
I don't feel like any breakfast, Mother.
Henry, don't be silly.
I couldn't eat a bit, Father, honest. I'm not hungry.
Hey, Henry.
I'm coming, Homer.
Henry, you can't go to school without eating.
I'll eat an apple on the way.
You are, Henry? You're going to eat an apple right in front of me?
Come on, Homer. Boy, am I worried.
Well, don't worry about it. If you haven't got 2 apples, gee, I'll understand.
Homer, do you remember me saying anything about something my father asked me to do?
What?
You see this string tied on my finger? Well, I woke up this morning and there it was, and I can't remember what I tied it on there for.
Oh, that's easy, Henry. It was to remind you to do something.
Sure it was. But I can't remember what. I can't even remember tying it on.
Henry, you're in bad shape.
I'll say. Right on top of my father lecturing me about my memory.
Was it something you had to do for somebody else?
Yeah. It must have been something for my father. He's the only one I was talking to last night.
Concentrate, Henry, concentrate.
I'll say. Gee whiz, if I can't remember what it is, my father will never buy me that ring.
Henry, didn't your father say anything at dinner about you not doing it?
No, Homer, that's the awful part of it. He just looked at me.
He did? Well, that's terrible.
All through dinner tonight, when he wasn't talking to Joe Graham, he just kept staring at me. At my hands.
Your hands?
Sure. He's so mad he can't look me straight in the eye.
I wish I could help you out, Henry.
Say, maybe you could. My father's in the living room with Josie. Suppose you go in and ask him if there's anything he'd like you to do.
Henry, are you crazy? What if there is?
Well, he might ask you to do the thing I'm supposed to remember to do. Then I'll do it.
Well, okay, you stay here.
Don't act suspicious, though, Homer.
I won't.
Oh, my work's going just fine, thank you, Mr. Aldrich. Well, I'm glad to hear it, Joe. Oh, Homer.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Aldrich, is there any little thing you'd like me to do?
No, thank you.
You can't think of a thing?
Not a single thing.
That's funny.
And now, Homer, I have something I'd like to discuss with Joe here.
Sure, Mr. Aldrich. And if you think of anything, I wish you'd let me know.
Nice boy. Yes. Now, Joe, here's what I want to ask you. I'm getting Henry a school ring for a Christmas present. And I want to make sure I get it before they're all gone. Yes. But here's the catch. It has to be picked up in person at the school, and I don't want Henry or any of his friends to see me down there. They might suspect something.
Oh, I understand, Mr. Aldrich.
And I wondered, Joe, if you'd mind running over to Central High tomorrow and getting one of those rings for me.
Oh, no, sir. I wouldn't mind a bit.
Oh, that's fine. Another thing. I'd rather you didn't mention this to Mary. I want to be sure Henry doesn't find out, and
I don't know. Oh, don't let me disturb you, Mr. Aldrich.
Homer, what are you doing?
Wait, I tell you, I just thought I'd straighten this plant a little. Go right on with what you were saying, Mr. Aldrich.
Homer, I don't want to seem rude, but can't you please run along?
Sure, Mr. Aldrich. Just as soon as I tie my shoelace. You just forget I'm in the room.
How can I do that?
I'll tie it real quietly. Will you just...
Homer, will you please leave?
Oh, gee whiz, I'd be glad to.
And now then, Mr. Aldrich.
Oh, wait a minute, Joe, until we're sure we're alone.
Oh, boy.
Did you find out, Homer? Did you find out what they were talking about?
Boy, Henry, is your father unreasonable?
You mean he's mad?
I'll say. And all I could find out is he's asking Joe to do something for him.
He is? Oh, boy, that means he's really mad. Homer, you stay here. I'll get Mary to help me. Mary!
I'm in the dining room, Henry, and please don't bother me. I'm trying to get these dishes cleared away.
Mary, you've got more influence with Joe Graham than I have. Won't you please ask him a simple question for me?
What question?
Just call him in here and ask him what Father's been talking to him about.
My goodness, is Father talking about me?
About you?
Henry, he hasn't been showing Joe that photograph album, has he?
Why, you...
Oh, my goodness, Joe!
I'll wait out here in the hall.
Did you call me, Mary?
Yes, I thought you might like to keep me company while I wash the dishes.
Well, I guess I could. The only thing is, your father and I were...
What, Joe?
Nothing.
Joe, you started to say something. What were you and Father talking about?
I'm sorry, Mary. I'd like to tell you, but I can't.
You mean it's a surprise?
No, that's what it is.
Why, Joe, isn't that sweet? I just love surprises.
What's that?
Oh, Joe.
Yes, Mr. Aldrich.
One more thing about that ring, about getting the size. Oh, Mary.
Father, did you say...
Mary, just forget what I said.
Of course, Father, I didn't hear a thing.
Joe, could you come back into the living room a minute?
Yes, Joe, you just go on. And my goodness, you talk as long as you want about...
Thanks, Mary. What were you going to say, Mr. Aldrich?
Wait until I close the door.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, an engagement ring. Mother! Yes, dear? Mother, come here.